A voiceover, or do I just begin
Briefly.
recording?
Okay, and now it is time for our final live event of the evening. A role-playing one-shot from the One Ring Roleplaying system, hosted by Richard Rowland.
All right, I've lost your camera feed, so I just have to imagine you now. It just says Sony Handycam.
Yeah, it does that.
That seems inauspicious. All right, so hello everyone. My name is Richard Rowland. I'm very sorry I can't be there in person this year. I had some family obligations that made that impossible. But I'm very happy to be playing a game with you all and hopefully involving some of you in. Of course, I can't see any of you right now. So basically, I'm really just talking to my wall like a lunatic at this point. I was sharing with them earlier on that actually in the early days of the hobby, that Gary Gygax actually used to run his games in his basement, and he'd have all of his players sitting at a table, but Gary himself would be on the other side of a wall of filing cabinets. So you just have this disembodied voice floating over you to tell you, that the rock elemental steps on your head to make sure you're dead. But you wouldn't see him, you couldn't see anything he was rolling, any of that stuff. So this sort of harkens back a little bit to the bygone days of the hobby, in that there's a little bit of a disconnect between me and my players, which is not ideal, but we're going to make it work. And I appreciate everyone's flexibility on that end.
We're imagining you
All right.
behind a wall of
So we've
bounty
got
hunters.
6 players, and we also have 6 characters, and I don't actually know who is playing who. So maybe we could just go. I was going to say left to right, but that's not going to be very helpful. But let's just start with Mike and maybe go around and just say which character you'll be playing.
Okay, if no objections at the table, I will be playing Alveric. Thumbs up from the table. Thanks, guys.
Right, and so Alveric is Alveric, so this game is set in Wilderland, about 5 to 6 years after the events of The Hobbit. So Alveric is a woodman of Wilderland, one of the woodmen living along the western eaves of the forest. Very good.
Hey, I'm Rob. I'm playing Gibby Bracegirdle.
Bracegirdle. Gibby Bracegirdle.
The Hobbit.
Yep. Yes. So you're playing Gibby Bracegirdle, the halfling from the Shire. And you said your name was Rob. This is going to be very hard for me, but I'm going to do my best.
Richard, can you see them now?
I can, yes.
Good.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm playing Idlebrand.
Sorry, you're playing who, Chris?
Idlebrand.
Just speak in the microphone.
Aldebrand?
There. He kept
It's
looking.
very, very faint over here. Sorry.
Aldebrand.
Aldebrand, okay. Yeah. All right. So Aldebrand is also a woodman of Wilderland. He is a warden by profession. So wardens, you could say, are essentially like rangers. They dedicate themselves to protecting society by basically inhabiting its margins. Whereas Alveric, who is going to be played by Mike, Alveric is a wanderer. So he's the sort of person who enjoys wandering to and fro across Wilderland, meeting new people, and of course trying strange culinary dishes.
And I'd like to just say that not all who wander are lost. Thank you.
All right, next we have.
This is Brandon. I'm playing Emeldir, the elf.
All right, so Emeldir is our elf. So the party, he's the token elf. They have to have one. Just for walking across the snow, going to find the sun, these sorts of things. All right, so next in the line we have,
Oh, yes, next up, that's me, I'm Kyle. I'll be playing Freya, a dwarf of the Blue Mountains.
yes, Freya is actually a lady dwarf with a magnificent beard. Not that the rest of your party can tell. About the lady part, not the magnificent beard part. Everyone can tell.
They can
your
see
beard
that
is
for days.
magnificent.
It's not stuff.
Hi, I'm Trent, and I'm playing Farvald.
All right. And Farvald is a Beorning. This adventure is actually set in the land of the Beornings, at least initially. So that'll be a good hook in for you.
We're crashing
So-
at your place.
You're all
All
welcome.
right. So it's about 5 to 6 years since the death of Smaug the Golden over the waters of Esgaroth at the hand of Bard the Bowman. In that time, the free peoples of Wilderland have begun to establish kingdoms, forge alliances. They have begun to prosper, but there is also, once again, a shadow growing in the east. In the north, the men of Dale and Esgaroth grow in prosperity as King Bard transforms the ruins of the ancient city of Dale, slowly but surely into one of the greatest settlements of the Northmen since the kingdom of Rovanian some 1,500 years ago. On the eaves of Mirkwood, the woodmen of Mirkwood have grown from just a few rude settlements to populate 8 great halls. And though they have been plagued by evil things of the woods, they are nonetheless more prosperous and powerful than ever. Led by their new war leader, Modred of Tyrant's Hill, the woodmen of Mirkwood valiantly hold the western eaves of the Great Wood against the forces of the enemy. And all men speak of how the new war leader means to make Mirkwood a fit kingdom for men. In the meantime, in the upper end of Vales, Beorn holds sway over a fierce and noble folk of shepherds, and, even in these later days, a few merchants. While in the north of to the north of Mirkwood, ageless, and though not quite unwearied, the Elven King holds dominion over his realm, and eyes the growing shadow in the south, and sees the weakness and frailty of men, and is troubled. Our adventure, however, begins in happier times, late in the year, at the Harvest Festival of the Full Moon. Now, the Harvest Festival of the Full Moon is held each fall in the land of the Beornings. Some of you are attending. You may be attending because you intend to participate in the 7 trials and to gain for yourself the fabled sickle of the moon. Others of you may just be attending the festival because, well, it's a good time and feasting is really what you live for. And you're looking to meet interesting people. You're looking to drink some good honeyed mead, and you're looking to celebrate the end of a prosperous year. But the Moon Festival, regardless of your reason for attending it, the Moon Festival is centered around this artifact, something in Beorn's keeping since time immemorial, known as the Sickle of the Moon. When men first moved north some years ago and swore allegiance to Beorn, he claimed to be among you as a simple farmer and a beekeeper. But soon enough, his thanes noticed that there were a few strange things about him. And I'm not talking about his unsettling ability to transform into a bear and visit wrath upon his enemies, because everyone's kind of used to that by now. No, I'm talking about the much more interesting, for our purposes tonight, ability of Beorn to, as soon as he harvests a field, within a month, the field is growing and bountiful again. His fields never lie fallow. When pressed on this matter, Beorn finally revealed to his new thanes his sickle, an heirloom of times long past. It was called the sickle of the full moon, both for its shape and engravings, but also because it seemed that a field harvested by the sickle needed only a month to recover before it could again be seeded. Obviously, the thanes of the Beornings greatly desired that they could have such a magical tool to help with their holdings, and so to forestall the jealousy which might inevitably arise around the possession of such an artifact, Beorn decreed that each year he would present the sickle to one of his subjects, who would hold it for the year, and then return it before Beorn harvested his own crops in the late autumn. Then it would pass to a new family. But to whom would it pass? His thanes proposed a series of contests, with the artifact given to one of the winners. And this is the origin of the Festival of the Moon. Within just the span of a few short years, this practice has become the annual Beorning Harvest Festival, as many try for a chance at the sickle. And the competition for the sickle is so fierce that an accepted alternative for various Beorning families is to sponsor an outsider to compete in their name. And this helps to explain why such a diverse group, including elves, dwarves, and hobbits from the Shire, are welcome to participate in this Beorning tradition. And of course, as a festival, every gathering has opportunities. Goods to be bought and sold. Old stories to be told anew, especially to people who haven't heard them before. And of course, new friends to be made. So the winner from the previous year is the marshal of the festival, and it is now his or her job to pick a new holder of the sickle from among those who have won one of the 7 trials. And that is where we begin. As you arrive on the first evening of the festival, it is twilight, and the sort of temporary village that has sprung up outside the settlement of Stonyford is bustling with live torches are lit, bonfires are blazing, and everyone is gathered together at a low stage which has been built at one end of the fairground. And Theodrix, who is one of Beorn's most trusted thanes and was the winner of the previous year's contest, stands up, raises both hands, and addresses the crowd. Now, ladies and gentlemen, and fair folk, halflings, and good Master Dwarf, it is my great pleasure to welcome you. It's my great pleasure to welcome you all to the Festival of the Moon. There's a general cheering. Woo! Yeah! And the Festival of the Moon, and of course, the moment you've all been waiting for, the beginning of the 7 trials. The 7 trials are intended to discern which among us is swiftest, noblest, bravest, most clever, keenest of eye, and most glorious of song. You know the games by now, but for the sake of our visitors, I will reiterate. There is, of course, and he points to the platform he's standing on, the stage of the nobles. Our good Lord Beorn's distaste for the niceties of civilized conversation is well known. And so each year, we hold a competition to determine which orator can produce the most simpering, the most sycophantic, the most saccharine sweet, the most ornate speech. The audience will judge the competitors as you try to outdo yourselves with elaborate euphemisms. And whoever is most likely to make Lord Beorn gag the hardest will be considered the winner of this competition. Secondly, it is of course, and he points to a place where a man is sort of very colorful, sort of modeled clothing, looking a little bit like a juggler or a jester, currently has a trio of thimbles, and he's just sort of like passing a pea between them. There is, of course, the game of thimble rig, which tests the awareness and the keenness of eye of each competitor. And each round, very simple, we put a dried pea underneath one of the thimbles, and you get to tell us where it goes. The possibly one of the most popular competitions, the torch race, will be held as night falls. Each runner will be given a lit torch to carry as they run a lap around a series of obstacles, which are intended to, let's say, extinguish the torch. The first person to make it across the finish line with their torch still burning wins the race. There is, of course, to test your keenness of eye, the seeking field, in which a very small stone has been engraved with certain runes and hidden. You will be able to search it after dawn, after the sun goes down, and those who are keenest of eye will find it and win the prize. There is, of course, no more venerable competition at the 7 trials than the ancient game itself. Yes, by this I mean the game of riddles. Over here on the center stage, opposite me, the ancient game will be played, the riddles to be spoken out loud, of course, answers to be whispered. For those of you willing to try your courage, in the corral behind me, you can attempt to stare down mean Shirach. And if you think you've got the sufficient intestinal fortitude, the sufficient courage to stare him down without flinching, you may try yourself against him. And finally, of course, no festival would be complete without a song. After the sun goes down, the musicians will be taking to the stage and performing, or at least improving original compositions. It's traditional that each performance feature the moon in some fashion. And those who sing the most beautifully, who inspire us with the most original lyrics, will win the prize. From amongst the winners of the 7 tests, from amongst the winners of the 7 trials, we will choose the greatest and most valiant to receive the sickle of the moon and hold it in the following year. Now then, let the games begin.
Hey!
All right, so there are 7 trials, the stage of the nobles, which primarily uses the skill of courtesy. If you'll notice, look at your character sheets, you'll notice you're better at some things than others. So this would be where it'd be good to check and see what are the things that you're good at. So there's the stage of the nobles, which is going to be using the skill of courtesy. There's the game of thimble rig, which is going to be using the skill of awareness primarily. There's the torch race, which will use athletics. The seeking field, which will use the search skill. The ancient game of riddles, which of course uses the riddle skill. The contest with mean Shirach, which will use the awe skill. And the lay of the moon, which will use the song skill. So these are the 7 contests, and you guys have a moment to mill around, to join yourself to one or other of these contests, or if you sort of prefer, you can also just mingle amongst the crowds. What would you guys like to do?
I'd like to do the song contest, please.
Okay. All right, so that's Freya is going, is that right?
Yes, yeah, right.
Yes, okay. So Freya will be going to the singing contest. All right, so what's everyone else wanting to do?
Farvold heads over to old Shurok and just starts staring.
Okay. So you're going to challenge Mean Shirok. What about the other four?
Emildir wants to take a shot at the torch race.
Okay.
Adelbrand is going to mingle amongst the crowd and see who we can.
Okay.
Gibby will try her hand at the events for courtesy and stealth.
There is no event for stealth. There is courtesy, the stage of the nobles.
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
Oliver can't resist a good riddle.
All right. So do we have two for the riddle game or just one?
I think just one right now.
Are you guys all picking different events? Holy moly. Okay. All right. That's fine. That's fine. It's fine. It's totally fine.
That's the face the GM makes when everything's fine.
Fine. All right, so I'm just going to go, I'm going to go right to left here. So we're going to begin with you, Farvold. So Farvold, you are going to, which one now, the song?
Awe.
Oh, that's right, you're going to
Yep.
challenge the bowl.
Yes.
Okay. So, Farvold, you head over to the corral, or the pen. I don't know if they say corral in Middle Earth, but I'm from Texas, so it's fine. So you head over to the pen, and the bullpen, if you will, and you see a pretty good-sized Bjorning come running out. I mean, it's kind of dark, so you can't quite see what happened to the pen, but you see him come running out. His breeches are a little bit torn, and it could just be the torchlight. There does seem to be something sort of like wet down one side of his leg.
Spilled some berry juice.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. Yeah, just spilled some beer. So you step into the pen, and there are sort of two pens. One is just big enough for a very frightened man to squeeze into if he's being chased by a bull, for instance. And the other one is much larger. And this is where Mean Shirok, the bull, who stands, significantly larger than you feel like, a bovine should stand. Now that you're here, you sort of see him, and you sort of like considering your choices. And as you step into the corral, he snorts in derision and trots out to meet you. Now, the way this is going to work is that you will be rolling awe against Mean Shirok himself. You will have 3 tests, 3 chances. If you cannot out-stare the bull, then the bull wins. Now, I have to say, despite his many victories, nobody has ever awarded him the Sickle of the Moon. Which is, if that's not just completely unfair, I don't know what is. All right, so you are pitting yourself, Farvold, against Mean Shirok. So you step into the pen.
You got this, Farvold.
Thanks. Gonna need it.
And kind of straighten your clothing, clear your throat, roll your shoulders, crack your knuckles. Give me an awe roll. So the way that this works on your character sheet you will notice that you have an awe skill. But then next to that awe skill, you'll notice, it might be a little hard to see on your screen, but you notice there's a little polyhedral, like a little dodecahedron right to the left of that.
Yes.
So click that, and then a dialog box will pop up on the main screen, which will actually ask you, do you want to add any modifiers? And just don't add any modifiers, and just roll it
Okay.
straight.
Just click submit.
All right. So
It made
you
a
roll.
noise.
Your target was your target should actually be a 16, which I didn't tell you. But next time when I ask you for the target number, put in 16.
Okay.
But you rolled a 17, so that's fine. And you got a great success. So if you'll notice, your D6 came up with a little tamoir next to it. So on those success die, when you roll a D6, it's a great success. So basically what that does is it takes an ordinary success to a great success. In this case, that's going to mean you're more effective in staring down the bolt. However, he has to make his roll.
Role-playing that, boys.
So he rolls a 27 with an extraordinary success.
Oh no.
So
Don't make Trent.
you stepped into the pen, and the bull snorts and stomps and walks slowly towards you. And you notice a couple of things that you had never noticed about this particular bull before. One is just how big he is. Like, you're pretty sure you could just fit your head inside of his mouth if you
Big
wanted to do
boy.
that, if that was the thing he wanted to do. But also, there's, again, maybe it's the torch light, but it seems like there's maybe a little bit of, maybe a little blood on one of the tip of one of those horns.
Just berry juice.
It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. You square yourself, and you can give me another awe roll.
I think you can do it, right?
All right. Another great success.
Hey!
Oh, that was a very poor roll on my part. All right. So you kind of straighten, take a deep breath, and you take a step forward. In response, Shirak lowers his head, paws at the earth, and prepares to charge. Give me one more awe test.
Come on, Farvold.
You've got this, right?
All right, so that is an extraordinary success. It basically counts as 3 successes. So up till now, you guys are tied. So this is the tiebreaker. So I need to roll better than that,
It's all come down to this.
which I do not. Okay, so as he lowers his head and paws the ground and starts to charge, you take another step forward, and you snort as loud as you possibly can. You see something goes flying out of your nose, but you're not worried about that. You just snort as loud as you possibly can, stomp the earth with your foot, and the bull grunts, and kind of like rolls his head and sort of like a shrug, and just trots back to his pen.
Yeah, this is my house now.
All right, Farwell, you have successfully stared down mean Shirak. All right, so Freya, you were headed to the song contest.
Hi.
Okay, so at this point,
So
introduce
when,
you to-
as the song contest starts, Emil decides to also join the stage.
Okay. So here's how songs work in my games. So I have some special house rules around this.
Okay.
You can, if you want to sing, you can just describe your song in sort of some general terms, and then you can make the roll. If you are willing to perform for us, and I will allow a range of interpretations of the word perform. If you're willing to perform for us a topical song written by, or poem written by J.R.R. Tolkien, you can gain an additional bonus die on your roll. If you are willing to perform an original song, I will allow you to automatically succeed without rolling anything. And I just have to say, I have literally had players come up with songs in the middle of a battle because they needed a clutch roll and they just needed nothing to go wrong. And they composed like 3 stanzas of perfectly rhyming, poetry. Like, you put pressure on people and don't make stuff rhyme, is what I found.
What about Clancy Brothers? Like, what about Irish folk tunes? Is this?
No. It's gotta be Tolkien. It's gotta be original. If you come up with something that's like kind of close, I might still allow a bonus for it, maybe. But yeah. So these are the rules. So
Okay.
when you step forward, there are already the contending champion for for this particular trial is a man everyone calls Old Theo. Old Theo is he's a woodman, and he's an extremely skilled harper and a singer, and so he steps up on the stage, and out of a large leather bag, you see him bring a large wooden framed bearskin or bear gut strung harp. And he strums it and gives up this low, mournful thrum as he begins his melody. All right, so a natural 12 on the D12 on the feat die in this game is what is called a Gandalf. A Gandalf is, for good guys, a Gandalf is an automatic success. No matter what else the roll does, it's an automatic success. An 11 would be an Eye of Sauron, which is it's not an automatic failure, but it has certain bad effects that take place. So in this case, Old Theo strums his harp. He begins to sing this mournful song of let's see, my head's pulled up. That's not helpful. Hold on. He begins to sing this beautiful ballad about a woman standing beneath the moon, waiting for the return of a distant lover who has abandoned her. It's a sad, mournful melody, and when it's over, there are several people who are quietly dabbing at the corners of their eyes. So now, my question for the two of you is, what do you have to top that?
I'm composing.
Ulrich is quietly sobbing into his arm. He's brought to tears too.
We need something upbeat. Lift the mood.
ML gets up and in front of the crowd and surveys the crowd, and then just begins to break into the following song. As I was walking beneath the light of the moon, I went along and sang this happy tune. As we looked around, we went to see some runes, and then we went and jogged along to go to croon. you just make things up sometimes. And
Ulrich is the only one in the audience jumping and clapping up and down and cheering.
All I'm gonna say is Elven music standards have really fallen off. All right. I'm not gonna give you an automatic success for that,
yeah, that's fair.
but go ahead and give me your roll.
Okay. All right, what's the target?
Good question. The target for the first round is 12. There are 3 rounds that get successfully more difficult.
Okay.
All right. Your tune, pedestrian though it may be, is competent enough, together with your fair elven voice, which many people here have never heard, to keep you in the running for the next round. All right. Well, they say you can't rush art, Freya, but what you got?
I've been a coal miner for 17 long years. I've spent all my money on chickens and beer. I'll go down to my mine shaft and do as I will. And if the coal dust don't kill me, then I sure don't know what will. Lie-die.
I don't know if you actually did an Irish drinking song now, or if you just made that up. But either way, I'm going to give you credit. So, all right. So everyone is suddenly very concerned about the plight of the dwarven coal miners. So,
Got the black lung.
that you never mentioned the moon in your song, which is like the one criteria for it. So this takes us into the second round.
There's more rounds.
Oh yeah, there's 2 more rounds. Yeah,
Two more rounds.
you guys were like, here, let me pull out all the stops for the easy roll. So, in the second round, old Theo stands up and begins the next stanza of his song. A man there was who wandered for many long and tireless leagues, and followed many erring stars between the mountains and the sea. They met beside the laughing brook and loved each other tenderly. There pledged their troth and took their oath between the mountains and the sea. Nevermore away I'll roam, he swore and kissed her tenderly. But here we'll dwell amid the stones, between the mountains and the sea. And just kind of continues in this sort of sing-song, slightly up tune, but kind of lilting tune. And I'm gonna go ahead and make his second roll. All right, he gets a great success. And people are sort of settling in as his narrative continues. What did the 2 of you have?
I sing a song about the moon. Is that a 16 difficulty? Or?
This is gonna be a 14 this time.
Okay, all right.
Oh.
Didn't.
Okay, so that's not gonna quite be enough.
Okay.
You do have some options here though. On your character sheet, you have something called hope in this game. And what hope is basically it represents your will as a heroic individual, your will to push forward beyond what you'd normally be capable of. Now, you don't want to spend all of your hope. If you run out of hope and you start to gain some shadow, and your shadow which you can get shadow for things like misdeeds. In fact, the first time I ran one of these games at Mythmoot, somebody maybe the audience now, so I don't want to call them out, but you know who you are, was like, I should just commit murder. I was like, but that's murder. It's like, no, I'm gonna commit a murder now, I decided. And
that's an option?
So
Will
we
that-
got like 4 points of shadow, which is like, I wanna say that's the most anyone's gotten in any session that I've ever run, but that wouldn't be true. But you can get shadow for misdeeds, but you can also get shadow just for you know, like walking through bad places or walking too close to a Nazgul when they're breathing. These things can all give you shadow. So if your shadow ever becomes equal to or greater than your hope, then what's going to happen is you enter a state called miserable. If while you are miserable, you roll an eye of Sauron, I get to take over your character and make them do a bad thing. And then I give them back to you, and you get to spend the rest of that character's life dealing with the consequences of the bad things you did. If this happens, and this is not going to happen tonight, so stop getting so excited, everyone.
It seems like a lot to hang on a song.
I'm just going to tell you that if this happens 5 times, upon the 5th time, all non-Elven characters become villains that remain permanently under my control. They become NPCs. If you're an elf, you get to avoid this fate by sailing west over the sea. So again, this will not all happen tonight, but I just want to say, like the last One Ring campaign I ran lasted 7 years, over 50 player characters, and these things happened a lot. It was really validating and fulfilling for me, and really traumatizing for people that I care about. So, anyway, this is a great game. That's not going to happen tonight, so you don't need to worry about that. You can just spend hope willy-nilly. Don't worry about it. It's perfectly fine. So you have some hope. If you were to spend your hope, since song is under the body attribute, so you notice your skills are arranged in 3 columns on your character sheet. Since song is under the body attribute, you can add your base body attribute, which in this case is 7, to the roll. So you can spend a point of hope to make that 12 that you roll in turn. Alteo, nothing rattled, stands up and sings his final stanzas. He gets a 22 with a great success. There is applause, and as he brings his ballad to an end, and murmuring kind of running through the crowd, sort of like to the effect of, Aldeo's got it again this year. What are you guys doing?
Well, I'm gonna roll again. I'm gonna spend hope like it's going out of style here. So let's see. It's target number 14 again?
16 this time.
16 this time. Wow. Okay, so spending hope at this point wouldn't really necessarily.
If you spend hope at this point, it'll
Crowd
get
is-
you over the hump.
The crowd is
You're not
really tired of dwarf mining folk music.
Impossible.
It's really because in your 3rd song, you end up taking the story in kind of an unexpected direction about like just a city dwarf living in a
Just a small town dwarf?
You took the midnight caravan headed anywhere, and people are. It's just.
Don't stop delving.
As adaptations go, this one is not as catchy as you kind of thought it was going to be.
Not with this crowd, but back home, that would.
You get the sense that they have in fact stopped believing.
Do they spend all their hope? Are they like Sauron's minions now?
No. It's just kind of like, all right, well, that's fine. It's not the 80s anymore. All right, so Imeldir, what you got?
Take us home, man.
So I'm thinking, the issue with what I'm thinking is the song is a long one because it's Baron into Nuviel, which features the moonlight in her hair it's not mainly about the moon.
You can just give us a couple of stanzas.
Okay, I'll give you the relevant stanza.
I'll allow it.
All right. Need to find, oh yes. Enchantment healed his weary feet, that over hills were doomed to roam, and forth he hastened, strong and fleet, and grasped at moonbeams glistening. Through woven woods and elven home, she lightly fled on dancing feet, and left him lonely still to roam, in silent forest listening. He heard there oft the flying sound of feet, as light as linden leaves, or music welling underground in hidden hollows quavering. Now withered lay the hemlock sheaves, and one by one with sighing sound, whispering fell the beechen leaves in the wintry woodland wavering.
Very nice, very nice. All right,
I should
so you can make your roll, and then after you make your roll, we'll add an extra D6 to it.
Okay. All right, got the roll.
Here's your extra D6. So that gets you to a 16 with a great success, which is just enough. You basically, you bust out the Luthien Tunubial, most of these people have never heard of, you know?
Right.
And this is enough to kind of like push you over the edge into a tiebreaker round.
With
So, Olpeo gets up. And you can see his face looks weary. He also looks a little concerned. Because he had not really expected to have to like pull another song out of a hat here. So he gets up and wipes the sweat from his forehead, thinks long and hard for a moment, and then launches into a plain but serviceable ballad about what else? A cattle raid under the moon, and people are kind of, you know, it's fine.
Well, I think I'm just going to try to roll this one.
Okie doke. That'll be a 16.
Okay. I will do that.
I believe in you. I hope coal miner family is behind that.
Oh.
So great.
That might not have been-
All right, so Brandon, roll our first Eye of Sauron for the night.
There's a lot right.
So the Eye of Sauron, at this point, it doesn't do anything, so don't panic too much.
Okay.
But if you had been miserable or certain other circumstances that could have triggered something. In this case, it's just a 0. So you roll a 5. So you get up, and I guess elves don't really forget things. But you're just overcome by the beauty of the actual moon and the total sadness, like the deep sadness and sorrow of the Baron and Luthien song. Your voice sort of cracks, and you're not able to follow through with it. And so everyone sort of half-heartedly at this point, because they'd really been expecting a big showdown. Both of you kind of choked a little bit, but they sort of half-heartedly give the prize to Oldale. In the meantime, while all of these shenanigans are going on, thanks everyone for being such a good sport, Aldebrand, you have chosen, rather to participate in these festivities, you've chosen to mingle amongst the crowd. So what kind of person are you looking for? Who are you looking to talk to? There are vendors, there are people serving drinks and food, there are other hunters. You see a few people look like they're gearing up for the torch race. Who do you want to talk to?
I'm thinking talk to the other hunters, maybe see if there's any rumors about what might be going on down in the south.
Yes. You see a man in hunting, like hunter's green, And he seems to be, he's an elderly man, but he has a huge wolfhound with him. And he seems to be sorting through like a large kind of a canvas rucksack. And you see he's pulling out several much smaller leather pouches and sort of like arranging them on the grass.
Okay.
Now what?
Okay, I guess,
Ask him, like.
yeah, ask him a question, ask him, what is he doing? With those pouches?
You get that.
Well, hello there.
Sorry, distracted.
You must be new around these parts.
I might be.
Well, excellent, excellent. Would you, I was just getting set up. I always do a little bit of trade at these kinds of events. Would you be interested in anything?
Perhaps I might be. I might be. What is it you collecting?
Well, I'm a fumate vendor.
A what?
Let me Google it, guys,
What?
I got this.
You know, humans, deer and bears and wild sheep, possums, everything. I've got everything. What are you looking for specifically?
It's poop, dude.
I'm not particularly interested in fuming, but I am interested if you've noticed any patterns in the wildlife that are relatively unique recently, perhaps.
Well, patterns in the wildlife. Let me consider. You see, the problem is that I'm so preoccupied with trying to make a sale right now that it's very hard for me to remember.
Okay, well, perhaps I can jog your memory some.
Okay.
What was that?
Perhaps I can jog your memory some. I might be interested if you can convince me.
Oh, very well. I have to say, not to brag or anything, but all of this is pretty fresh. So, what sort of animal are you interested in hunting?
Well, you're certainly very enthusiastic. Bear, perhaps?
I guess I've got just the thing. Now, it's important, until you need it, you keep it in this pouch, right? This pouch comes from a bear. So it'll keep it nice and fresh. I can see you're a very discerning customer, sir. So I'm willing to make you a good deal on this.
Festival.
Let's say 10 pieces of silver.
Okay. But,
Rip off.
don't tell me what you know, right?
Oh, yes.
We just consult my.
Now that you mention it, something is coming to mind. Holds out the pouch, and then also his empty hand. Something is.
Okay.
Are you going to pay him?
Do I have to roll something, or do I go ahead?
No,
and
no, no, no.
Okay, I'll pay.
Okay. So that was basically the money that you had for drinks, food, and lodging, all of that stuff tonight.
Hell yeah!
You do, however, have a bear's lucky pouch full of fumants. So there's that.
Good deal.
Nice.
Sounds like a crappy deal to me.
Just gotta figure out how to sleep tonight.
You know, there have been some strange doings lately, especially along the western eaves of the forest.
It's the sort of thing that, I mean, perhaps it's the business of hunters. Well, it's hard to say. There's been some kind of a strange creature, something we've never had in these parts before. I assumed it was one of the dark beasts of Mirkwood, or perhaps a small goblin of some kind, but it doesn't really seem to fit any of those descriptions. But there are rumors amongst the woodmen of eggs gone missing from birds' nests, children gone missing from their cribs. Something is stalking the darkness on the edge of the wood. Beware. Beware. And unfortunately, I don't have any of its fumants, so it's not going to but any hunting rolls you make tonight, you'll make a +1, thanks to the lucky bear fumants in your possession.
Okay.
Perhaps I can interest you in something else. I've got many fine samples from across Wilderland.
I think I'll pass, thank you. But
Well,
it's good
that's
to know.
what these animals chose to do as well, so I understand. All right.
Moon Sickle Festival punning.
Kendrick the Fumant Vendor is my favorite NPC from any game I've ever run.
That's in the book? You paid money for an NPC with the book that had somebody who sells poop?
Yeah, you brought me in
Oh, no, this is my character.
Oh, congrats, that's great.
Yeah, no, this is my character. He shows up in like all of my Middle Earth games. So you guys got, I don't think I've ever brought him out of a conference before though. So you guys got
Very well developed.
We made it, guys.
All right, so Gibby took the halfling. What was it you were wanting to do again? Remind me.
Gibby might have had too much mead when she signed up for her event. It was the one that required a lot of courtesy. She's a very courteous hunter.
All right. So you step up onto the stage along with your competitors, including an elderly Beorning woman by the name of Elvira, who is sort of the reigning champion of this particular event. And you need to come up with a fancy speech.
Fancy.
So, you can decide how you want to do this. You can go. You can try to improvise something a little bit, or you could just make the roll, whatever you feel like doing.
My speech turns out to be a business pitch for the competitor of Longbottom Leaf in the South Farthing of the Shire. It turns out that the owners of Longbottom Leaf have been absolutely rigging the market all these years, and they've been bribing the local officials, and our company, we'll call it, South Farthing Soul. And we run a very, prestigious family business, but we just can't compete with the big business that is Longbottom Leaf. So my speech turns out to be a plea, really, for some extra funding so that we stand a chance against those corporate barons that run.
And obviously you expound the virtues of your particular leaf and its ability to cure asthma, the cough, bronchitis, hay fever, influenza, shortness of breath, COVID-19,
Yeah.
and of course, it's really great for pregnancies as well.
Yeah. Great for adolescents, all
Yeah,
the above.
because this is the third age of Middle Earth. That's back when smoking and drinking was good for you.
Yes.
And so, yeah. So
9 out of 10 doctors agree.
go ahead and give me, so you get up and you just give it your best corporate BS. So go ahead and give me a courtesy roll. This will be, again, a 3-round event, so this will be at TN 12. Target number 12.
Do I change? Okay. I'm just gonna hit some. Okay. Yeah. That's what it did. So submit. Do I change the number? Can I just like edit this?
What's the target number?
It looks like I can just like.
Target number is 12, so if it says 12, you're good.
I'm just gonna submit.
Hey.
Okay.
It looked like a box where I could make a change. I mean, I didn't do anything. It just came up like that.
Elvira stands up and begins an improvised speech on the many excellent virtues of halflings. They are, for instance, quite small. They fit in tidy places, like cupboards. They have large appetites, also like cupboards. And she just continues to expound for a good 10 or 15 minutes. Just on here are all the ways that halflings are great. But it's like every single thing she mentions is just like they're pretty underhanded compliments. Yeah. So she's going to come up with a 19 and a great success, which is going to be your 15 and great success. So when it's over, you hear everyone sort of nodding approvingly, but also like for reasons they don't totally understand, looking at you with like slight suspicion as you get up to give your next speech.
So my next speech turns out to be more or less a master class on best leaf growing, best tobacco growing practices.
Best practices, how to get your cousins to work for free. Yeah.
Pretty much all the tricks in the book. How to skirt whatever regulations there are in the shop.
Yeah, just the niceties and the nuances of different forms of fermentation. Obviously, you've got your different ways of packing it. You've got your twist flake. You've got your crumble cakes. You've got your loose leaf, your ribbon cut. I mean, there's a really wide variety of different ways to package and present pipe tobacco.
And
So go ahead and give me another roll. This will be at TN 14 this time.
okay. We use natural fertilizer, no artificial stuff that
Yeah, you actually, they can come and meet their tobacco plant.
You can name it too. You can buy a little
You can name it
plot
too.
and name it. Okay. Here's.
How do you think Old Toby got its name?
Exactly.
Ooh. Hey. All right. Elvira gets up and clears her throat and begins a long treatise on the excellencies of honey, in which she manages to get several little sly digs at halflings, but it's not nearly as convincing as your very detailed, because remember the point is to really be too much with these speeches, and your treatise on the finer points of organic, free range, antibiotic-free tobacco farming is just really, it's like 6 levels higher of insufferability than anything anyone else has come up with. Like, people are like, who is this hipster? And why are we going to kill her when we're done with it? All right, so it's the final round. You have a solid lead. How would you like to finish?
I guess I need to stay on brand now. I'm gonna roll into a TED Talk about the complex and layered history of the tobacco trade, not just in the South Farthing region, but all across Middle Earth, and the complicated trade policies that no one's really interested in, but I'm just gonna use all of my knowledge and go all out. And
so you
just
start
give
out
them
by
a
standing
complete
up and
lecture.
in just 2 or 3 sentences problematizing everything people think they know about tobacco. And then raising both of your hands you say, but I believe that tobacco should be simple. And then you proceed walking back and forth slowly on the stage, saying really obvious things for the next 5 minutes to expound upon all of the ways that you believe tobacco should be simple. That there should be simple, straightforward, ethical relationships between growers, packers, distributors, and, of course, the customer.
Ulrich has completely bought into the sales pitch and is applauding.
He's like, I'm getting some of this. Like, this is amazing.
Here's all my money. I went all in on this whole operation.
So go ahead and give me your final roll.
No whammies, no whammies.
Oh. All right, so this is against a 16, so that's a little short because you're a hobbit.
Very fun. Yeah, like I haven't heard that one before.
So you can spend a point of hope, of which you have a lot, by the
Let's
way,
do it.
because
Yep,
you
we're
are
doing
a
it.
hobbit.
Yep.
You spend a point of hope to add your basic heart to this roll, which I think this should be relatively high, I think.
My hope is.
Yeah, your basic heart is 6.
Yes,
So you can spend a point of hope to get your 12 up to an 18.
let's do it.
All right. Galira stands and in a last-ditch attempt, like she changes tack. She started out by just like trying to like compliment and insult people, which is what people normally do, but you like busted out the TED Talk. Like you've gone like full Corey Olson on us here. So, I don't know, have you guys ever seen that TED Talk parody that The Onion did called like The Duck Goes Quack? And it's like, it's the entire thing is just this guy reading a children's book, but he's reading it in the style of a TED Talk. It's so good. So you've got this like full TED Talk on her now, so she's got to like really mix this up a little bit, and this is territory she's not used to. So she's gonna attempt to bust out something about weaving, since apparently we're doing like crafts and trades now. And it is just very insufficient. Like she's like kind of stumbling, like all of her jokes about hobbits are falling flat now because hobbits really do care about natural products and the environment and the customer and ethically sourced nicotine products. And so
The only thing they care about.
and so she finally, like, by the time it's over, like, she's beet red and she's sweating, and people are like, all right, come on, get down now, and you are claimed as an influencer, Gibby, which is the highest praise that anyone can give you in Beorning land.
Is that in the Lost Tales? I missed that one.
Yeah, that's in the Book of Lost Tales. The influencers. It's a really limited market because only certain people have access to a Palantir, but it's to be wealthy people, so it works out.
That's who you never know who could be watching.
So that brings us all the way down to Albrecht. Albrecht, I believe that you were planning on competing in the torch race. Is that correct?
I
don't think so.
I think I was going to do riddles, but I will do torch race.
Torch race or riddles?
Ulrich is up for anything.
Sorry?
Ulrich is up for anything.
Whatever you want to do, sir.
Let's do riddles.
Okay. All
I
right.
was gonna do a torch race,
So-
but then I decided to sing, and that didn't work out as well as I thought. Even though I'm
Riddles.
better at athletic things, but you know.
Riddles can go a couple of different ways here.
Is
If
it
you have a really clever riddle.
is it
that
after
you're
sundown?
with. Sorry, say again?
Is it after sundown?
Yes, I mean, it's the sun went down probably about a half hour ago. All of this is happening simultaneously.
So that these might be considered riddles in the dark.
Riddles in the dark.
Hey.
All right.
Okay, so I gotta.
So,
All right.
Turin the Tinker, who's the local expert on the question of riddles, gets up and begins.
I was once an armed fighter, but now a young home dweller covers me proudly with twisted wires, with gold and silver. Sometimes men kiss me. Sometimes my song summons men to battle. Happy comrades. Sometimes a steed carries me over the marches. Sometimes a seahorse bears me over the waves with my bright trappings. Sometimes a maiden fills my ring-adorned bosom. Sometimes I must lie, hard and headless, stripped on the tables. Sometimes I hang with ornaments proud on the wall where men drink. Sometimes a good weapon the warriors bear me, riding on horseback with treasure laden. I must breathe in the breath of a man's breast. Sometimes with my music I summon proud warriors to drink their wine. Sometimes with my voice I rescue the booty, put foe to flight. Ask me my name. So this is the first riddle, and it's up to you as the opponent to answer.
Got this, bro.
Can I phone a friend?
You're welcome to, I'll say you can consult the audience on this one if they've got any ideas. Because they were all listening very attentively.
Say it again. Say it.
We're gonna go with a horn.
A horn is correct.
Yay!
All right, you get a chance now to ask your riddle, which you can either come up with one or you could roll for it.
All right. Albrecht gets very quiet and says, he's kind of like a Clint Eastwood character. So he's going to say, if a red house is made with red bricks and the yellow house is made with yellow bricks, what is a greenhouse made of? And then he starts snickering and giggling maniacally. He's rubbing his hands together and jumping up and down.
Has ever seen a greenhouse before? You know, I'm gonna roll for him because I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he knows one or not. All right, so this is the first
I
round.
mean, it's green bricks, right? We all know it's.
It's green bricks, yeah, obviously.
It's a pretty obvious
It's like the answer's in it. I don't know.
It works on two levels.
He squints a little bit and says, "Nice try. Everyone knows greenhouses are made out of glass."
Dope.
All right, and he prepares to ask the next riddle. Corey Olson,
Yes?
I am so sorry.
Oh dear.
I am a wonderful thing, a joy to women, to neighbors useful. I injure no one who lives in a village, save only my slayer. I stand up high and steep over the bed. Underneath, I'm shaggy.
Family show.
Sometimes ventures a young and handsome peasant's daughter, a maiden proud to lay hold on me. She seizes me, plunders my head, fixes on me fast, feels straightway what meeting me means, when thus she approaches. What is my name? It is a family show, you guys.
Yeah, it is a
Come
family
on,
show.
get your head out of the dirt.
I'm a dwarf. I know what I
Mike, you get your head out of the dirt, you also pull this thing out of the dirt. Shaggy underneath, hurts its slayer.
Stoked.
What's Lair? Hurts its Lair.
It's an onion.
An onion.
Well, obviously, what else did you think it was? I really like the fact that this particular riddle, I mean, this was written down in a book at a cathedral.
Yeah.
You know, so there was a monk who wrote this down, and I feel like this is probably like a novice in the scriptorium, and he's like, hey, please, some more of this. This is pretty funny. And then the abbot walks past, and the abbot's like, "What's you guys writing over there?" It's a riddle, Father Abbot. Oh, really? What are you writing about, Brother Fergus? It's an onion, Father Abbot. It's an onion. What did you think it was? Oh, well, no, I mean, I knew that was an onion, of course. That's always supposed to be. Right, carry on then. I just how did this get into a book? I don't know. But, all right. So, is your opportunity now to ask a riddle. You can just roll for this if you want to.
Okay, I'll just roll. What's the target?
14 for round 2.
Here we go. Oh. Yeah. Did I just say, why did the chicken cross the road or something?
Yeah, it's not a good one at all, Alberic. Let's see.
Chestnuts.
So you could add 6 to your roll, which would get you to a 14, which would just get you there.
Okay. Can I do that?
So you spend a point of hope, and you'll just get to your roll.
Okay. All right. Spending a point of hope.
All right. He's going to attempt to guess your "why did the chicken cross the road" riddle, which he does with brilliance.
He just dunked on me.
He clears his throat. Now pretty sure that he is definitely winning this contest, and begins his final riddle. I move on my feet. I break up the ground. The green meadows as long as I live. If life leaves me, then I bind fast the swarthy slave, and sometimes better men. Sometimes I give drink to a strong man from out of my bosom. Sometimes the stately dame treads me underfoot. Sometimes the peasant girl, the dark-haired slave brought from afar, stupid and drunk on dark nights, lifts me and presses me, soaks me in water, warms me sometimes kindly by the fire. Her wanton hands rending me, turning often, sweeping through the dark. Say what my name is, who living ravaged the land and dead, and am of service to men.
Well, at maiden and wanton hands, Ulrich just turns bright red on stage.
It's not an onion this time.
Yeah, first he guesses an onion. A hint?
Come on, peanut gallery, what you guys got?
Say it again. Again.
All right, I'll read it one more time. I move on my feet, I break up the ground, the green meadows, as long as I live. If life leaves me, then I bind fast the dark slave, and sometimes better men. Sometimes I give drink to a strong man from out of my bosom. Sometimes the stately dame treads me underfoot. Sometimes the slave girl brought from afar, stupid and drunk, on dark nights, lifts me and presses me, soaks me in water, warms me sometimes, kindly by the fire. Her wanton hands twist me and rend me, turning often, sweeps through the dark. Say what my name is, who living ravage the land, and dead am of service to men.
There's a lot of puzzled faces in the room. Sheep. People are shrugging, giggling, and thinking sheep. I don't know. can I expend another hope point and?
I mean, you can just
You
roll.
can just roll, yeah, roll.
You can just roll.
All right. Here I go with riddle roll. What's the?
It'll be 16 this time.
16. Here you go.
That seems right.
Okay, so with your wit of,
So I got 14.
yeah, that's not gonna do it. It's not gonna make it. All right, I will say sheep was actually pretty close. I would have accepted sheep as your answer, if that had been your final answer. I think the typically accepted interpretation for this is ox. But basically the idea of some kind of herbivore that eats the grass and then when they die, you make them into leather.
Albrecht goes, but
Yeah.
it's totally clear he has no idea. That was the answer.
All right, riddles tonight courtesy the Exeter book. So, all right. So as this festivity comes to a close, the six of you, whether or not you knew each other beforehand, sort of as the various events come to a close, some of you have been more successful than others. But you start to gather together and find yourself sort of standing in queue, waiting for a tankard of ale, or a bit of meat, or maybe some food. Really anything but onions at this point. And as you're standing in line, that's when you hear the scream. It's a blood-curdling, heart-rending.
I'm awake now.
And it's coming from the end of the village. So you're on the sort of the fairgrounds, which are just sort of outside Stonyford. So this is coming from just from the edge of the village. What are you guys doing?
I go investigate the blood-curdling scream.
Yeah, I'm gonna run toward it.
Same.
1 second. Sorry, I alarmed my children. You guys. That's how bad a person I am.
It's okay,
Come on.
guys. Daddy's just playing. Basement.
Maybe some dwarf coal mining songs would lull them back to sleep.
I could be persuaded.
Hmm.
Dig 16 tons.
The long version.
Okay, 1 sec. I thought I had this part of minutes pulled up. Oh, here it is. Okay, so are you guys running the direction of the screen?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you arrived there, 3 heartbeats ahead of everyone else. You probably should have all got, and like, some of you are like kicking yourself for not you're so fast, you would have won that torch race probably. Definitely would have won that.
Yeah, I'm having regrets.
Yeah. But you arrive, and the scene is a fairly simple one. You see a mother sitting in the corner of her house. It's a small one-room cabin. It's fairly tidy under normal circumstances, but simple, you know. But she's sort of like sitting in the corner on the floor, hugging her knees, rocking herself back slowly back and forth, and you can see that the shutters on the opposite side of the house have been forced open, and there is an empty crib still rocking
Ooh.
in place. My daughter, my Elise, she's been taken. It's him. He's taking him to her.
Taking where?
and she starts to mutter and mumble something under her breath that sounds like a folk song or like some kind of a half-remembered tune. Under the cliffs of Old Hag's Rock is a little cave of stone with wet walls of slimy rock, and on the floor a bone, a white bone that is gnawed quite clean with sharp white teeth, but inside nobody can be seen. He lives far underneath, under the floor, down a long hole where the pool gurgles and sighs. Glib is his name, as blind as a mole, in his two round eyes while the daylight lasts, but when the night falls, with pale gleam they shine. Now he crawls, all long and wet with slime. He slinks through weeds at the high water mark to where the mirror maiden sings. The wicked mirror maiden singing in the dark and threading golden rings on wet hair. For many men she draws to the rock to die, and he listens and quietly slips and lies in shadow by. It is there that Glib steals his bones. The slimy little thing sneaking and crawling under fishy stones and slinking home to sing a gurgling song in his damp hole. But after the last light, there are darker and wickeder things that prowl on Old Hag's Rock at night.
Was that an extemporaneous poem, or is this a written poem that other people know, or?
You can give me a lore test. Do any of you have the Rhymes of Lore ability?
That would be me. I'll do that. All right. I got 16 on that.
Sorry, 1 second. So weird. One second, everyone, sorry.
This is what happens when everything goes according to plan.
Sorry, I had to close my office door here so as not to disturb my children any further. All right, so Emeldir, and it's just Emeldir rolling. Okay. Emeldir, you're not the one who, that was Aldebrand who spoke to the hunter, right?
Yes.
So Emeldir, you, the woman's song, and it's like, it seemed like it was like some kind of a folk song or something like that, but you know, in her ranting and raving of her grief, it's hard to say exactly, but you get the sense that, I mean, this definitely jives with rumors that you've heard of a dark creature moving along the edge of Mirkwood. Although the fact that you would come this near to larger settlements is pretty unusual. As you're hearing all of this, Aldebrand, you immediately think of the rumor that the fumant vendor had told you about just half an hour earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So, who is good at search? because I think
So you can, so I'll tell you what your options are, and then
Yeah.
I think that I want to take just a quick break to get some more water.
okay.
So if everyone maybe wants to stretch their legs for about 5 minutes. Here, your options are going to be, you can use the hunting skill
Okay.
to look for tracks. You can use the riddle skill to look for clues.
Mm-hmm.
You could use the search skill to search the house and see if there's anything hidden there. So those would be your options.
Gotcha.
So why don't you guys decide what you want to do? I'm gonna get some more water, and Corey, if that's all right, I'll be back in about 5 minutes. Are you? I know it's really late over there.
We're good.
Is everyone doing okay?
We're good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. I'll be right back.
I have 3 hunting and 3 stealth.
All right.
Okay.
Does anyone top that?
I mean,
I've got 3 hunting.
Yeah. Do we want to hunt the area or search the house or what do we do?
yeah, seems like.
Hunting sounds like the plan.
Yeah.
Like, we can have multiple people roll the hunting check.
Can I take his bear poop and hunt with that?
No, that's fine.
That's a great question.
That's my bad.
Can I trade? I probably got a trophy for my speech. I'll trade my trophy for poop.
Oh, that's right, you probably do.
The thing is, I
We'll
get
check
plus
about
1.
that, because I don't know if that means, yeah, we'll check what he meant by that, but like, that might help.
Let me get some water, actually.
And like, you might be able to give it to him, yeah, okay.
Yeah, my kind of kind of broke down when you go. When they terrified me.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You told us.
And I had to ask them to start, can we finish this little module, or is he too scared? And he's like, "No, I'm like, all right, I'll tell him something." And she said,
What module was it? Was it an
It was the Candlekeep Mysteries,
Ah.
which are like 12 tiny little one-shots. The first one was great, and the second one was called Shem Shine's Bedtime Rhyme, where you find like a haunted nursery rhyme where the ghost has taken over a basement, and you have to finish the rhyme with the ghost. But something about the creepy nursery rhyme terrified me. He drove that.
Yeah.
That went down.
That is like you guys have been going for a while. Sounds like you guys have been going for a while.
It's gonna find this thing. Should we go get more water?
We should go now.
Yeah, for sure.
That's-
There's this thing, the way that there's like, there's riddles inside of that nursery rhyme that's gonna help us navigate the web.
Right.
But it also seems like,
At night it's more dangerous.
Yeah.
One thing I
Yeah, nice.
well, we got plenty of hope, we'll just spend that and hope for the best, like.
That is true.
Like, listen, I mean, if, I would be playing this a lot differently if we were going to like, carry on this adventure for more than one night. But the fact that whatever consequences happen, let the chips fall what they may, I just run in suicidally, yeah.
Yeah, it's more fun to just run like an adventure.
That's what I'm thinking.
So the way it normally works, like you play for like a couple hours, and you know, like you pick it up at a later date.
Yeah.
And then you continue the story.
Yeah, a lot of times.
Does the story ever end? Like
Sometimes, sometimes you're reading what is called like a campaign, which would be like a continuous story over sometimes several months. And some campaigns run for like decades. Yeah.
And it depends on what the DM plans for the campaign. Do they have, or do they have like a big bad behind or are they just putting, you know, villain after villain in different dungeons across the world, and like, and they can do it how they can do it something they want. Right? So like, campaign on now been for 2 to 3 years, and like we're building up some bad guys, but like it takes a while to get there.
All right, Mike, I think he's back.
Hey.
We have to go find Angela.
So we had a question.
Because you're still a kid.
Richard, we had a question for
Yes,
you.
yes.
The Fumets give you a +1 to hunt in general.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So,
Just having them on your person, you somehow feel like you're a more legit hunter.
Is it just Adelbrand, or could it be given to somebody else in the group?
You can pass it to somebody
yeah,
else.
you can pass it along if you want.
I mean, you can give that pouch full of bear crap to really anyone you want to. But just keep in mind that right now you're the only person in the party with proof that bears do in fact crap in the woods. To give that away.
A long saw.
That was a long walk to that joke.
I'm a deeply patient person.
I know, 7-year campaign, yeah.
Yeah, there were a couple of moments in the second to last, the last 2 or 3 sessions where like I paid off a joke that I've been setting up for 3 or 4 years. One of my friends was just like, did you run this entire campaign just to make that dumb joke? I was like, no, but it was a major perk.
So, let's, so do you want to give that to him or not? Or to
I
somebody?
have 2 in hunting, so whoever has 3 in hunting would probably benefit the most.
Yes.
Because it's like guaranteed. Alright, then yeah. I'll give the bag of bear crap to give me Bray's girdle.
Give me once the fur fumet.
Alright.
Should I roll a hunting? Yeah.
Yep.
Give me a hunting roll, and you can add 1 to the result.
All right.
Well, that's an Eye of Sauron, but even with the Eye of Sauron, you still got an 11. And plus your +1 makes that a 12. Now you need a 14 in this case. So if you'd like to spend a point of hope,
Yes.
that should get you
No questions asked.
should get you a great success. So that'd be pretty good.
Do it. I'll mark myself down.
I see your screen light up as you like look at different things.
All right, sorry, say that again.
Yeah, I'm going,
Yeah, he's
going
spending-
with the hope.
He's spending it.
Okay, all right.
I carefully spread
Pretty good.
the fumet around the perimeter.
To help distract it somehow.
Yeah.
Wait,
But I mean, it'll work. But
No. I smell the fumet to get the scent of the potential perpetrator.
Yeah, so you're pretty sure based on that you're not after a bear. So you've eliminated, that's your +1, you've eliminated bear from the list.
Sweet.
You can very clearly make, with your great success, you can very clearly make tracks that are headed off. So Stony Ford is it's just southeast of the old fort, where the old road crosses the Anduin. And so these tracks are headed off generally south along the river at a pretty good pace. You can tell though that whatever you're chasing, it's too small to be a person. And in fact, Gilly, if you didn't know better, you'd almost say it was something hobbit-sized.
Is it Gollum? Do I know who that is?
Well,
No.
But I think that's who we're tracking.
Do I
yes.
hear
Out of game, that's who we're tracking.
Do I hear like a gurgling sound in the distance?
I don't think we're that close yet.
You do not.
I continue to chase after it, I guess.
All right,
Let's keep
so are you guys
tracking.
going in pursuit?
Yeah, let's all go.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
We don't know what this is, let's
here's
go
how this
find
is
out what
gonna
this
work.
thing is.
this is going to be our first and only journey this evening. So journeys have particular rules in the One Ring RPG, which is if you roll an Eye of Sauron during a journey, you provoke a hazard. And a hazard is where something fun and interesting goes wrong as you travel. So if you will take a look at the main screen there,
Okay.
on the travel map, you'll see that there are these different roles: guide, huntsman, scouts, and the lookout. What you get to do is you need to pick one person to be the guide. You can only have one person as the guide, and it should basically be whoever has the highest travel skill. And then you can assign, if you look under each of these roles, huntsman, scouts, lookouts, you see that there is a skill listed that tells you here's the skill that you need to participate in that particular role. So take a look at what your skills are, and then go ahead and click and drag your token to assign yourself the role in the party that you want to take.
You have 2 travel.
It says
Oh,
Kyle has 3.
Albrecht has a 3 on exploring, so he'll be a scout.
You have a 3 on travel, right?
Yeah.
So move.
I'm
You're Freya, that's right, you're already, yeah, my bad.
You have a 3 on explore. You can also be a scout.
All right.
Oh my god, yeah.
I don't think I have anything for this. Actually, I search. What would search be for?
Sergeant Stealth.
Search and stealth.
We need awareness, explore, hunting, or travel.
Yeah.
So
Well, I still have 3 hunting. So where does that go in?
Go under huntsman. Yeah. Drag under huntsman.
That makes sense. A hobbit huntsman.
That's true.
And-
What's a good guide? What would be good for?
That was travel.
That's me.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay,
fine.
I understand.
All right, I'm gonna go under awareness because I only have a 2 there, but I have 1s and everything else. So I think is everybody where they need to be?
Yep.
Set.
Yep.
Final answer.
All right, you guys are happy with where you are?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so you begin your journey traveling southward through the East Anduin Vales. A visitor to this part of the Vales of Anduin would probably be forgiven for thinking that the land here is empty, because it just rolls along for hundreds of miles beside the river. Endless green valleys running down to the Anduin, while on your left, to the east, is the ever-present shadow of the forest, like a black stain on the horizon. There are few people who live here, but the land does have, especially for you, Emildir, the land does have a distant memory of kingdoms long ago, armies who watered the soil with their blood. And occasionally you find yourself clambering over ruined stone walls, making your camp amid the barely visible foundations of an ancient village. And now and then, the tumble-down remains of ring forts crown large hills in the distance. But you travel for 2 days without meeting with another soul. I need you all to go and give me a travel test. This is going to be a TN 14. All right. So that's all right. All All right, so Freya, that's going to be a failure unless you want to spend a point of hope to opt out.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna spend that hope.
Okay, that's really bad. Was that Gibby that rolled a 5?
That was Elder, man.
Yes. Okay. So that's not great. You can't really do anything about that. In this case, you gain 3 points of fatigue. So you can add 3 points of fatigue to your sheets. Basically, if you fail, you're going to add 3 points of fatigue to your sheet. So if you're kind of within range and you can spend some hope to up your roll, you might want to do that. Fatigue will mean that you wear out faster.
Would he put that under travel fatigue?
Yes.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, when you're playing this game normally, is there a way to get more hope as you play?
Yes, so at the end of each session, if we're playing a campaign, everybody would pick a fellowship focus. And the fellowship focus is like for instance, Frodo is Sam's fellowship focus, right? So if at the end of the session, Frodo has not been stabbed by an Nazgul, or poisoned by a giant spider, or just had any other awful Frodo things happen to him, Sam would get a point of hope at the end of the session. So basically, you get hope back by looking after some other member of your party and making sure they're taken care of. So typically speaking, we'd all pick a fellowship focus at the start of a campaign, and then basically that would be somebody your character forges a close relationship with, and your hope or shadow quotient would basically be dependent on what happens to that person. So that's the easiest way to get hope back under normal circumstances. Also, under normal circumstances, and there's no reason we haven't done it so far tonight, just I haven't thought to mention it, but you also have a fellowship pool that is made up of 1 per each member of the party, plus 2 because one of you is a hobbit, or plus 1 because one of you is a hobbit. So you guys actually have 7 points of basically free hope that anyone can spend at any time without depleting your reserves, which is a lot. So you also have that as an option. It's a lot.
That's the spirit.
Big parties, especially big parties with hobbits in tour, get like a little OP, but it's okay. So,
Cool.
Great for a one shot.
all right, so has everyone spent or taken fatigue?
That's fatigue for all,
Yeah.
it's not just the person.
Okay. So your travels eventually lead you through the vales of the eastern Anduin to a place where the river Gladden spills into the great river. As it does so, creating a waterlogged landscape of ponds, little slow-flowing channels, and marshes, which are locally known as the Gladden Fields. These marshes are not known for being particularly perilous, with the exception of 1 or 2 places where the stain of something evil seems to linger on the land. And it becomes clear to even the thickest headed of your party. I'll let you decide who that is.
That's me.
Yeah. It becomes clear even to the dwarf as you stand beneath the shadow of something that the woodmen and Beornings call Old Hag Rock. There is here a small oxbow of the Gladden long ago fed into a noisome mere, a foul pool long since cut off from the rest of the river, overhung by a strange twisted rock jutting up out of the earth like a giant's tooth, but like a hillbilly giant, like it's not a good tooth. So there's this foul pool here overhung by a wall of slimy rock. And the tracks that you've been following for the last 2 days come as far as the pool. and then vanish. If you guys would like to give me rolls of search or explore to see what you can find in the area, you may do so now.
Adelbrand's gonna do explore.
I'll use search even though I'm not that good at it.
Okay, so the roll from Michael T, is that for Alberic?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Alberic, Freya, the two of you notice a few things. One is that the tracks do seem to end at the edge of the water. So whoever you've been following seems as though they may have swum or paddled across. There is, however, what appears to be high up on the cliff face. The only way to get at it would be to sort of like climb up the back of the rock and then drop down from the top. But high up on the cliff face, overlooking the mirror, there is what appears to be a small cave entrance, like a crack or a fissure in the rock, which does seem to have been artificially widened. Freya, you noticed that in particular. Certainly not good dwarf work, but it is the kind of thing that makes you think the rock is like this little cliff face. It's more than just a rock. There's something inside. Somebody lives here.
And that opening is at the top of this?
Yeah, basically you can imagine it being shaped like a little bit like Pride Rock from The Lion King, but steeper, right? So it's this like leaning cliff face that overhangs, kind of a sinister overhang, overhangs the mirror. So the back is something that could be climbed with a little bit of work, but then the cliff face is on the front, and it overhangs the mirror.
And we know that our perp has paddled across the river. So is there some kind of entrance like on the cliff face? So he paddled across and then climbed up the cliff face that's facing the pond.
The tracks are not clear.
Okay.
So it's hard to say. Like basically there's the stone is hard enough that if somebody had climbed up it wouldn't necessarily have left a trace.
I do remember in that song there was something about a cave.
And a tooth, right? Like there's something about like the white tooth. There's something other. I think maybe we see if there's a log we can kind of float across for some of us who aren't great swimmers, and we attack this head on instead of going over the back of it. I feel like there's got to be something to this. My dwarf.
Is there something I could do with my boating skill?
Do you have a boat?
We do not, so probably not.
Touche.
The voting license.
Yeah. But I was wondering if there was something we could provide a boat out of, but.
I mean, if you had the woodwright skill, you could spend a few days building a boat.
Well, that seems like we don't want to spend that time. If I have a swimming specialty, can I help other people get across?
Sure, I'll allow it.
Okay.
Okay, Alberic is at the edge of the water and he's
So I just want to be 100% clear. You can swim across like this. You can also just like walk around to the stone. Like the mirror is probably 30 or 40 feet wide.
Okay, we're not across the river from the rock. We're on the same side.
Yes, that's right.
Just the pool. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, let's just walk around the pool then.
You could swim it, but I just want to make sure I'm painting a clear picture so that you understand that if you walk into the nasty water, that's on you.
Okay.
dive head first.
He's indicating we're overcomplicating it. So let's just walk carefully around the mirror and check out how climbable the surface is of this rock.
Yeah, so when you kind of come around the other side and look at the back side of the rock, it's kind of slimy, it's covered in algae. There's a bad smell here, but you think a relatively athletic person could probably climb it and drop a rope back to other people to make it a little bit easier for them to climb.
All right.
If you wanted to take that.
I can do that.
I got a 2 athletics.
I got a 3. So
Elf, get up there. Throw the rope down.
I think I'll do that. Let's take a roll on that.
Hey, all right.
All right. The elf climbs the rock face with such grace and skill, with such ease and finesse, that you all hate him a little bit deep down in your soul.
Way ahead of you.
Emeldir looks up and says, says to himself, take that, Legolas.
So you get to the top without any trouble at all. Are you dropping a rope back to everyone else?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so with the rope, it's a TN 16 to climb the rock face. However, with the rope, it's only a TN 14. So if you guys want to give me rolls to climb up.
That's athletics, yeah.
Fall on my back.
That was me.
How was the dwarves game?
Well,
Flying ropes. Oh, that was you?
Yeah, that was me.
We had hobbits and dwarves tumbling out of the sky.
Yeah. Everyone falls down. Did anyone make it?
All right, everyone who failed their roll, as you begin to climb, you're sort of trying to hold onto the rope, and you kind of you're going up, you're trying to follow the path that Emeldir went up, and then all of a sudden you find yourself slipping, and it's the kind of thing where you're climbing the rock face, but you feel yourself leaning too much to this side, and you're starting to wrap around the wrong side of the rock. And as you do so, you hear a snap and a hiss, and this large tree trunk that was sort of looked like it was sort of naturally wedged at the top of the rock suddenly comes rolling down towards you.
all right.
And the 3 of you who failed your rolls take 7 points of damage.
Oh.
It goes against your endurance.
Now we're
As
rolling.
you set off this trap, which someone is apparently set to guard the rock face. All right. At last, though, you all make it to the top, but you're pretty sure with the noise that you've made, if anybody's listening, they know you're here.
The log made the noise.
What is the plan?
Well, I look at the roll, any stealth is out the window. We're probably not gonna sneak up on whatever this is, so.
Guns blazing.
Charge in, guns blazing, surprise.
Yeah, let's go into the
Ashy
cache
war
and see
crowd.
what's in there.
Can I get my bow and arrow ready to go?
Yep.
All right.
I draw my axe.
Yeah.
Axe is drawn, bows
Alright.
and arrows are.
So you're all
I draw
standing
my
at the
spear.
top of this rock, and everybody just starts pulling out weapons.
Yep. Oh yeah.
How are you getting into the cave?
Can the
Nope.
Dwarf go in and widen?
Can we?
top of the cliff?
Do we have to go in one at a time? Or can we go in,
I mean, you've got the one rope. So you've climbed to the top of the rock, and now you have to drop down about 6 feet and kind of swing into the cave mouth. So that is a one at a time thing. Who's going first?
I'll go.
all right, you go first, Elf, I'll go second. Is this another athletics check?
Sorry, who was it that volunteered?
I'll go first.
The elf.
All right, Emeldir. Okay, no, you don't have to roll for this, because you've already made your athletics roll. So Mildir, with great grace and finesse, you grip the rope, smile and wave to your companions, and drop over the side, swinging into the dark mouth of the cave.
Tra-la-la-lally.
Tra-la-la-lolly. Yeah, I just like every time I watch, I just have to say, every time I watch the film Die Hard, there's a certain line, which because this is a family show, I won't repeat, that I always want to replace the yippee-ki-yay with tra-la-la-lolly.
I was thinking that myself.
Yeah.
I was thinking
So
about
I don't
that
know why,
myself.
I'm a broken person.
Mm.
So gripping the rope.
Corey, what do you
jumping
think
to
of
the
that?
side. What was that?
What do you think of that, Corey? Replacing a certain line from Die Hard with tra-la-la-lolly instead of yippee-ki-yay.
Tra-la-la-lolly.
Family show, but yes.
Again, I didn't say anything.
Nope, we just
Lots of
Really, I'm
ideas
skirting-
being
I'm
generated
skirting
over
the
here.
rating here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that will enhance your Die Hard watching next time. Just imagine it's like Gilmore the whole time, and he's just like. All right. So you grab the rope. Emildir, sorry.
Yeah.
I've said Gildor and then just like it infested my brain. So Emildir, you grip the rope and you swing, jump over the side, swing down into the darkness, and you kind of land, let go of the rope, plant your feet, look around, and as your eyes adjust to the light, an enormous spider jumps out of the darkness. Swing. And at this point, Emildir, I need you to choose a combat stance.
Okay.
So the way that combat works in the One Ring RPG is instead of putting you on a map where we worry about like tactical positioning, we kind of follow the narrative style of Tolkien's fiction, which is to basically say, in what way are you fighting? So it's not about where you're fighting, but in what way are you fighting? So forward means you are sacrificing defense for offense. So it makes it easier for you to hit the enemy, but it also makes it easier for the enemy to hit you. Okay. Open stance is basically the most balanced. Defensive stance would be making it harder for them to hit you, but also harder for you to hit them.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, the way combat is going to work, I've done all the programming here in Roll20. So all you need to do is actually drag your token to the appropriate place, and it's going to do all the math for us. Because you guys are like humanities people. I'm trying to go easy on everyone. Ouch.
How do we change this over time, like as we go on, or?
Yes, every round, at the start of every round, you get to choose the stance you want to fight in.
Okay. Well, since
So
I'm
I
in
just need to
here
know,
by
if you're
myself
getting
right
bushwhacked
now.
by a spider,
Yeah.
okay, you're going to start in defensive stance. Okay, very good.
Yeah,
So
I'm in here by
everyone else-
myself right now, so I'm not like willing to really give up a whole
So
lot.
here's how this fight is going to work. There are 4 spiders in this very crowded little cave. It's going to take each of you 1 round per person to get into the cave. So you need to figure out who is going next, and they will get to go at the start of next round. So you're not all going to be able to get in there and fight at once. So figure out who you want in there hitting a spider, as all 4 of these guys jump on Emildir. So, since you were surprised, they get to attack first, and this guy is going to attempt to sting you, Emildir. He's going to roll a 20, so he's going to hit you for 3 points of damage.
Okay. Where do I put that?
I mean, basically, imagine 4 spiders the size of like a medium-sized golden retriever, swarming over you. Their jaws clicking, their legs kind of chittering, as they vie for the privilege of wrapping you up and taking you home. That guy misses. That guy is gonna, so when my bad guys roll an Eye of Sauron, that's an automatic success for them. So not only does he hit, but he hits his edge. But hitting his edge here means that he has the chance of scoring a piercing blow. Now, what you need to do is to make an armor test against his injury rating.
Okay.
So if you, on your character sheet, you should have some armor, and there should be like a little dodecahedron next to it that you can roll. So you need to roll armor against a difficulty of 14.
All right.
If you fail, you gain a wound. So there are two ways you can get hurt in the One Ring. You can wear down your endurance, which is basically, doesn't actually represent a real physical wound. It's just like you're losing the will to fight, you're getting tired, etc. A wound is a really serious, it's a really serious injury. If you get 2 wounds, you are considered dying. If you get 2 wounds and you drop to 0 endurance, you are dead. Ask me sometime how many characters I have killed in the One Ring RPG.
Is it more than 2?
It is a significant number. This game makes it very hard for you to kill players, but life finds a way. Apparently so does death. So,
What was the target on that armored one?
yeah, so go ahead and roll armor against injury, against a difficulty of 14.
Okay. That wasn't great.
That's not 14. So you are a lightly armored elf, and as these spiders come flying at you, one of them hits you for 3 points of damage, the next one misses, the next one manages to pierce through your foot and ankle with its stinger, and you find yourself in immense pain as the 4th one attempts to ensnare you with its web. And he's going to apparently do that. All right, so this one doesn't do any damage, but you are considered ensnared. So what ensnarement does is it means that your parry rating is halved, so you're much easier to hit next round, and you cannot change stances until you break free. So Imeldir, you swing into the darkness, and basically 4 spiders start to swarm all up in your business. One of them injures you pretty badly, so you can mark that you've got a wound on your sheet. And you've also lost 3 points of endurance, so you can mark that on your sheet. And the rest of them continue to, and then the 4th one wraps you up in some pretty thick webbing. And it is now the top of the round, so the way this is going to work is Imeldir will get to take his turn, and then one of you other people gets to join the chaos. So Imeldir, you are now wounded, you are wrapped up in webbing, and you're just remembering how badly you hate spiders. What are you doing?
So I've got a bow, a sword, and a dagger. I'm thinking, can I use the bow in this situation? Because it's
No.
ranged, but they're right up to my.
It's way too close in the cave.
That's what I
Use a bow.
thought, but I figured I'd ask. So I guess the next best thing is the sword.
Okay, so you draw the short sword at your side, and are you gonna strike out at, all right, so the way this will work, Brandon, if you click on your token on the map,
Yeah.
you'll notice in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, you'll see 2 buttons appear. One says bow and one says sword. Do you see that?
Yep, I see it.
So if you click sword, it'll say choose a target, and you choose your target, you click on one of the spiders, and then it'll ask for a modifier, and you say 0 and click submit. It should do exactly that thing. And the nice thing about this really helps me because it outputs all of the values for your weapon right into the chat. So it makes it much easier than if we have to look that up every time.
Okay.
So you do 5 points of damage. If you hit, and you were rolling against a 13, you got a 14. You also got a great success in this case, right? Because you got the little 6 with the tengwar next to it.
Right.
So a great success means that you're going to add your damage bonus in damage. So you would normally do 5 points of damage, but you got a great success, so you do 10.
Okay.
You skewer one of the spiders. I mean, like you draw your short sword and you just slash it right across its. Do spiders have thoraxes? Like, does anybody know?
They have stingers, sure, why not?
I don't think a spider has a thorax, but like the midsection.
It's like it's
Richard, we're humanities people.
Sorry, what was that?
We're humanities people, we don't know.
Yeah, I'm sorry, what am I doing? Hey, so earlier today, I was recording an episode of the Alan Sewell podcast with Jeremy Morgan, who's actually a Sigmund student that a lot of you know. And we were talking about Ungoliant, that was the podcast today. And I read that little quote from Tolkien where he says that spiders are the ancient horror of the northern world. And I was like, listen, I've been reading Old Norse poetry and Anglo-Saxon literature for a long time now, and I've only ever found one reference to a spider in Tolkien. I think it's just you. Like, I think this is really fun. Like, yeah. So,
do I kill the spider?
You do not quite kill it, but it staggers back. There's like kind of this dark bluish greenish blood bleeding from its abdomen, and its legs are starting to curl up under it. It is severely injured.
I go, you spiders!
Who is swinging down into the cave?
You are right.
Yeah, I am next, and this is Ulrich swinging in, and I'm going to swing in, and I'm going to land in the, what is that, rear guard position? Defense?
Rearward position is the position which you would use a ranged weapon from, which is not really an option in the cave.
Okay, so I'm going to.
But there is no functional difference between rearward and defensive in terms of the difficulty to hit and to be hit. Rearward is just what you use when you're using a ranged weapon.
Okay, I'm going to swing in and be in forward position with my spear.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
All right, that's right. Getting up in the grill. And I will say there are actually a whole lot of combat options, folks, that we're not getting into tonight. So if you ever do play the One Ring, and there's a second edition coming out soon. My really good friend James Spahn, who might be watching this evening, I'm not sure, but he's actually one of the writers for the second edition, and it's going to be really, really cool. So there's a second edition coming out right now. They did a Kickstarter recently, and it made like $1 million. But if you ever play this game, first or second edition, there are actually a whole lot of combat options, which we're not getting into tonight because of the format, because everyone's new. So we're just kind of doing the basic options. But there's a whole lot of different things you can do in combat. So, all right, so Albrecht, you swing down into the forward position.
Yep.
You will get to go on the good guy's turn. It is now the spider's turn. So the severely injured one is going to attempt to sting Emildir in the foot again. And it's going to hit you for 3 points of damage, Emildir.
Okay.
This next one is going to also attempt to sting Emildir.
I wish they would stop doing that.
And also hit you for 3 points of damage. The other two will now turn to Albert. One of them is going to attempt to actually ensnare him first. So Albert, two of these. So you swing in, and like you heard noises, you're not totally sure what's going on, but you swing in, and as your eyes start to adjust to light, you see these two enormous spiders lunge at you. One of them throws out a web and successfully ensnares your feet. You are ensnared, so your parry rating is halved for the moment, and you can't change stances without breaking free, which takes an action. The other one is going to attempt to sting you, which it will do for 3 points of damage. So you take 3 points of damage total from that round, and then Albert. So basically now the initiative order becomes based on stance. So forward stance goes first. Albert, you're up.
All right, I'm going to go with my spear.
Okay.
There you go.
You raise your spear and bring it down. So again, if you click on your token,
yep.
You'll see the dagger, great bow, and spear buttons appear in the upper left-hand corner of the screen.
Got
so
it.
you just click on those, click on your target, and let it do the math. So the way the difficulty to hit is being calculated, for those of you who are interested in this sort of thing, is that every character and NPC has a parry rating, which is basically how good they are at evading a hit. So it's the parry rating plus the difficulty. If you look at each stance says like TN6, TN9, TN12, etc. So basically, your difficulty to be hit is your parry rating plus whatever stance you're fighting in. So in this case, you needed a 13, you rolled an 8. Do you want to spend a point of hope to add your basic body score?
Yes.
And if you did, would that hit? Let's see, your body score is a 4, and your spear is not favored. So you'd be adding a 4, so that would get you to a 12, but you'd be 1 shy.
Okay, so I will not spend.
Yeah, so you will not spend a thing on that. All right, Imelda, it's your turn. There is a very wounded spider trying to stab you in the foot with its mouth.
Alright, I think I'm gonna target that thing.
Okay, target that thing.
There we go. Should be this first one, I hope. And that didn't go very well.
All right, so you have rolled an Eye of Sauron, Imelda.
Yay.
If you roll an Eye of Sauron during combat, since you have a called shot coming your way, called shots are very bad. Let's just say that. Basically, it means there are certain bad things that my guys can do, but they can only do them if you have a called shot coming your way. This means that one of the spiders is going to attempt to poison you this next round.
Okay.
Who is swinging into the cave of spidery death next?
Who's next?
Farval.
All right, so Farval, right?
Yep.
Okay, so Farval, you swing into the cave, which is now getting a little on the crowded side, as these 4 enormous spiders swarm over your companions. The spiders are going to go ahead and take their turn. This guy's going to start out by trying to ensnare a Mildeer. Now, to make this called shot work and poison a Mildeer, I need to roll a great success, which I do. It's my night, you guys. Okay, so.
Oh boy.
Imelda, this is a good news, bad news situation.
Okay.
The good news is that you're poisoned and you fall immediately unconscious.
That's nice.
Actually, it's just a good news situation. This is just really fun for me. No, so your character is unconscious. You're poisoned. After the fight is over, someone can attempt a healing roll. So maybe look at your character sheets to see who would be good at this, because you can only attempt one every 12 hours. Someone can attempt a healing roll to revive you. You are otherwise basically full of spider poison, which, as we all know, is not fatal, but it does do a number on your complexion. Okay, so you're all pale, ghostly Elijah Wood right now. It's bad. All right, so that's Imelda is now down, which frees up the other 3 spiders to attack Alberic and Farval. So this guy is going to attempt to stab Alberic with his face, which he's going to succeed in doing, dealing 9 points of damage, Alberic.
Crazy good today.
Take 9 points of damage. Or, sorry, not 9, 6 points of damage. You take 6 points of damage. Farval, this next one is for you, which is going to miss. That's my bad, because I should have ensnared you first. So this guy's going to try to ensnare you, Farval, and he's going to succeed. So both Farval and Alberic now, your legs are both just wrapped in webbing. You're trying to cut yourself free, but your parry rigs you cannot change stances. Alberic and Farval, it is your turn.
All right, I'm going to attack with my spear. And I'm targeting the spider on the far left. And here we go. And I missed.
That's gonna miss me. You spend a point of hope.
Yeah, that'll actually work this time.
All right, yeah, because I got one.
All right. Which spider are you stabbing?
Far left.
Far left. Far left is the guy that was already wounded.
Yes,
So
yes.
you thrust your spear through his abdomen, and he lets out a little, just a faint shriek as his legs curl up under him. He is dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Farval, what are you doing?
going to use my great splitting axe.
Oh no. I just remembered what character you have.
Get him.
I don't like that.
Get him.
Okay, well, a 13 is going to hit. It's going to just hit for 9 points of damage. Which of the spiders are you hitting? I mean, they're just sort of indistinguishable at this point. 9 points of damage is not enough to kill one of these guys, but it is enough to hurt them very, very bad. Very bad.
I'm hitting the one on the left.
Okay, all right. You shore off 2 of its legs, and it's like scurrying across the floor of the cave. And as you cut off 2 of its legs, you see it sort of like trying to like scrabble back up and get at you. Who's swinging into the cave next?
I'm going to Adelbrand.
Aldebrand? Okay. What stance will you be taking?
I'm thinking defensive. If I have a really high heal score, can I heal Emily?
You can't during combat. So in this particular game, you can, if you're in the open stance, you can sing or give a rousing speech in the middle of the battle to help people recover endurance. But if you want to treat a wound, you have to wait till the battle is over. There are no magic cleric hands in this game.
Okay.
Sorry, clerics everywhere.
Then I'll do the forward position with the two-handed long
All right.
hand pass.
So you move to the forward position. So go ahead and just drag your token into the forward position. The spiders are going to attack, and since there are 3 of you and 3 of them, Alberic, this guy stings you for 3 points of damage.
Okay.
Barbald, this guy stings you for 6 points of damage. Aldebrand, this guy misses you for no points of damage. As the spiders leap at the 3 of you, Aldebrand, you manage to fend it off, and Alberic, Barbald, and Aldebrand, it's your turn.
All right.
Here I go with the spear on the spider on the left. The one that is
All right.
already has some leg issues going on. Here I go.
Yes, it does.
Here I go.
That
Sweet.
will miss. Barbald?
I announced in the cave that I'm really more of a ranged bow guy, and this is not my strong suit, so
I
please.
swear this never happened.
This is, don't judge me based on these close quarters. Thank you very much.
I aim for the same spider. I am a close fighter.
Why would you say that before you roll? Alright,
I
that
was
will just
hopeful.
hit for 9 points of damage. This is the guy you already cut off 2 of his legs.
Yep.
This time your splitting axe comes down and hits him in the middle of his sort of chitinous abdomen. I've really got to look up like spider body parts and just splits it neatly in half. There's a sort of like an oozing and a popping sound as, and that spider is dead.
I like that
Who's
Farbald's
now
battle. I like Farbald's battle cry is just simply, he says matter of factly, I am a close fighter. And then he slays
I
the
am
spider.
a close fighter. All right, so who's swinging into the cave next? Freya or Gibby? Freya, going in next. Leading the charge. That of course doesn't do because their legs are short. So Freya, you swing into the cave to see there are just like spider guts everywhere. There are 2 still live creatures that are attacking. One of them is actually going to go after you because you're new here. Freya, this one attempts to sting you and fails.
Oh yeah.
This other one is going to go after, we're going to say after Farbald here, and hits for 3 points of damage. All right, Alberic, Farbald, Aldebrand, Freya, in no particular order, you guys are up. What are you doing? You're obviously surrendering at this point.
Well, I think we're gonna push our advantage.
Oh, I guess that,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, that makes more sense.
It doesn't show me how to attack.
Hey, if you suggest surrendering to players often enough, at some point during a 7-year campaign, they're gonna try it.
You finally break their will.
You break their will.
It is the only option.
My attack jobby isn't working. I click on it and I can see the hit points and the gear, but I don't
Oh,
get.
hold on, I messed up your thing. One second. Let's see, your weapons are sword, spear, and dagger.
Which is true.
Correct. Okay. So here's what I'll do. Just a quick little coding over here, real quick.
I like how the spiders are called Addercow.
Yes, which is a name nobody likes, but that's the official name of the monster in this particular spider. There's actually in these books there's like 8 or 9 varieties of spiders.
Nice.
Which is fun.
Too many spiders.
Okay, click off of your token and click back on your token, and you should see it now.
Yep, there it is.
There it is. All right.
What does the most damage? Spear or sword? I'm just gonna go spear. Token and modifiers. There we go.
Sweet.
Seems bad.
Yeah, that's a strong 5.
I clicked those buttons as hard as I could. I don't know.
All right, you swing out with your spear, and there's a spark as your spear tip glances off the stone. Albert, Farwell, and Aldebrand, you guys are up.
All right, I'm gonna attack my dagger. I'm not doing anything with the spear. Here comes the dagger. Choose target.
Yeah.
I'm using a hope point.
Hey!
All right, a hope point will make that into a great success. So you're going to hit for 7 points of damage. Which one are you attacking?
The one on the left.
All right, the one on the left. 7 points is not enough to kill him, but he's pretty badly hurt. Basically, you just like stab the knife directly into one of its glowing eyes, and as it kind of scrabbles backward, trying to get at the eye. All right, who's left? Who hasn't gone?
Yeah, I'm going. Aldebrand. I was having problems being able to attack as well.
You should be able to, like, because it comes up on mine. Yeah, just like.
Yeah, look, you got your options up here.
Oh, that's where that. Oh, okay. That.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You're gonna have to speak up just a tiny bit more
Sorry,
for me there.
I figured it
Chris.
out. I figured it out. I just selected the spider on the left.
Okay. That is gonna miss.
Yeah,
Do
use a hope
you
point?
want to
Yeah.
spend a point of hope on that?
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
All right. So you're Aldebrand. Aldebrand's. All right. So here's the problem. All right. So you're using your axe. So your axe is favored, which means you get to add your favored body score rather than your regular body score, and your favored body score is 4, which gets you to 13, which is exactly what you need to hit. So you're going to hit this guy for 7 points of damage. That's the one on the left, so he's already injured. That's enough to kill him.
Yes.
So Aldebrand, you just bring the axe down, finishing off what your companion had already started. I think there's one more of you. So Frey's gone. Alberic is gone. Aldebrand's gone. So Farbald, you're up.
Okay. Let's attack the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's gonna hit for 9 more points of damage. Yeah, you hew into this creature as it attempts to get at you. That's the bottom of the round. So, Gibby, at this point, as the remaining member of the party, you swing into the cave and find spider guts everywhere. And you see a mostly dying spider do its best to sting Farval one last time. And he does not succeed. Farval, would you like to attempt to finish him off?
Yes, please.
Oh,
I
it's gonna
spend
miss.
a-
Unless you want to spend a point of hope
Let's
there.
spend a hope.
You are spending it?
Yes.
Okay, so with that, you finish off the last of the spiders, and you all find yourselves sort of crowded into this small cave mouth. Most of you at this point just covered in old webbing and spider guts. As you light torches and start to have a look around, you can give me, somebody can give me a search roll.
Who's got that dang search?
I'll do a search roll.
Yeah, there you
Who's
go.
who's got the healing?
We gotta heal the elf.
Yeah, should the healing happen first, or does it matter which order we do this in?
I've got healing.
Yeah, one of you can do search, another one can do healing.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. Like,
I've got,
Okay.
there's like 6 of you, so you can multitask a
I've
little
got a
bit.
healing. I'm gonna.
I rolled a search,
Here's the
that's
healing.
fine.
The typical TN for things is 14, so if you got an 11, that's probably not gonna be enough unless you wanna spend some time.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, and then who's giving our,
This is.
Can I use a hope point on my
Give
healing?
me spend
yes,
a
you
hope.
probably want to.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
So what's that get you to, Mike?
Healing, it's under the heart attribute. So what does that
Yep.
give me 6?
So what's your basic, is it underlined for you?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you add your favorite heart, so the higher heart number, the smaller bubble.
6.
6. So that gets you to a 17. So that'll be enough. So you're able to treat the Mildeer's wound and awaken him. So Mildeer, you can put down on your sheet that there's a wound treated check mark, and you can check that off.
Okay.
I say in my best Clint Eastwood voice, you owe me one health. You owe me one.
Nice.
Thanks.
All right. As you awaken a Mildeer, Gibby has a look around. Gibby, the chamber here is it's small, and there's like a nest that the spiders made, in which you find some old bones, a couple of trinkets, nothing valuable. Very importantly, nothing that looks like a young child, like nothing fresh. I was about to say the words, nothing that looks like a fresh child, but then I thought better about it, because that's just the worst thing anyone could possibly say under any circumstance. But you can tell that at the back of the cave mouth, there is a small, kind of wet-looking tunnel that is small enough for each of you to basically go down single file. In fact, some of the bigger, tall folk are probably gonna have a little bit of trouble squeezing through.
Since Gibby's the smallest, Gibby will lead the way.
All right.
Yeah, I'll be right behind.
Okay. So, the halfling, the dwarf, and then the rest of the company in what I'm going to assume is ascending size order at this point. Make your way. The halfling and the dwarf don't have a whole lot of trouble getting through this sort of like dark, wet crack in the stone. Some of you big folk, though, especially some of you who were like really enjoying yourselves at the festival, as you start to like try and wedge yourself through the space, there's a brief moment of horror as you think, what if I never get out of this? Like, what if I'm just stuck here forever? Like, what if this is it for me? As you find yourself wedged between two pieces of stone, with a little help from above and a little help from below, you manage to sort of like wriggle your way down. And one by one, you find yourself emerging into an even wetter room strewn with bones. There is a horrible stench in this room. And there is another tunnel, kind of, so you sort of like came down, but then opposite, sort of on ground level from you, there's another tunnel that leads into another chamber. But between you and that exit, you see an old stone statue here. Much weathered with age, but still remarkably detailed. Whatever this is, Freya, you're pretty sure that this level of stonework is far beyond the skill of the Northmen. This is something that was made in ancient times. And it depicts a beautiful woman with the tail of a fish from her waist down. What would you guys like to do?
Stand and admire.
I guess, I mean, head down the tunnel, right?
Maybe search the statue if there's like a hidden lever or switch or
Okay,
anything.
yeah.
All right,
I'd like to roll an insight. Is that possible?
yeah, roll insight on like what specifically. Insight would normally be used in like a
Oh,
social
okay.
situation.
Then
You could roll riddle though, or lore, one of those two.
I'll do riddle.
Okay.
Okay.
See if there's anything about this statue.
Not great.
I'm gonna roll some lore.
Hey.
Hey, Emeldir. So that's a Gandalf and an extraordinary success.
Oh my god.
So Emeldir, you learned everything about the statue that you could possibly reasonably know. Emeldir. You've heard of statues like this. You've read about them in the library of the Elven King in Mirkwood. And you've also studied about them in other places in your travels. These statues were made by the ancient Númenóreans as watchers, as guardians upon places and people and things that they didn't necessarily want escaping into the wider world. And although the magic and the making and the art of the making of them has been long since lost to the world, you know essentially that there is a power, a virtue, some would even say a spirit, which has been imprisoned in such statues, something which is keeping something from entering, or possibly something from leaving this chamber.
Does Farvold have anything to add to that analysis?
Farvold, you rolled a 4.
I see a fish lady.
Yeah.
So obviously I'll share that because I'll basically say this.
Yeah, you would know with an extraordinary success and a Gandalf, okay? I will tell you that you would know that typically speaking, there's a password of some sort that you need to know to be able to pass these watchers safely.
So basically like, well, there's a password we need to figure out to pass this thing safely.
Would it be in that song?
Yeah, we gotta remember the song of the woman. There's a clue there, I don't remember though.
You can take some time to examine the statue, you can search the room, you can give me a lore test to see how much of the song you can recall. What would you like to do?
I'm gonna roll a lore to see how much of the song I can recall. Here we go.
I'll do that again too to see what I can remember on the song.
Good thing we healed the elf.
I'll spend a hope point to boost myself up over that 14.
How much hope you have? You gotta be.
I'm running low, but this is a one shot, so I'm like, I'm living in the moment. I'm down to 9 hope points.
I'm also going to spend a hope point. what am I adding to that? Is that my wits modifier?
Uh-huh.
And is it wits or favored for that?
If Laura's underlined, then it's a favored skill and you add your favored.
Okay, it is underlined, so yes. So
Okay,
it's a plus
all right.
8.
So between the two of you, you're able to remember the entire poem, which I have just put into Roll20, so as to save myself the trouble of reading it on the air.
Thank you.
Hey, Glip, let us pass.
Yeah, it's definitely.
I try saying old hag, I try saying where mere.
So how are you just like saying this in front of the statue to see if the statue does anything? Like how are you testing your hypothesis?
I'm standing in front of the statue and first I say old hag.
Okay? The statue doesn't do anything in response.
I'll try saying where mere.
The statue appears to be a statue. Like, at this point, you're just standing in front of the statue, you're saying words.
Don't think.
Yes. Okay.
Maybe say something in Elvish.
So, there's this section here, the wicked mermaid singing in the dark and threading golden rings on wet hair. For many ships she draws to the rock to die, and Glip listens and quietly slips and lies in shadow by. It is there that Glip steals. Is there that Glip steal his bones? There's a slugging home to sing.
Make a gurgling sound and see if that does anything.
Does anyone have a high riddle or something? Can we?
I have 2 in riddle.
Riddle of one.
If
Oh,
you,
it's 2. Actually.
uh,
I clicked the wrong one.
yeah, so so at this point, you're saying things in front of the statue, but there's no indication as to whether or not it's working.
Give you rolls riddle.
So what are you rolling riddle for?
To decipher the old hag's riddle,
Okay.
but I failed.
Do you want to spend anything on that?
Would spending a hope be enough?
Well, what's your wit?
My wit is 5, so just barely.
It would be just enough.
Let's do it.
All right. So Gilly, as you're sitting there considering this, you notice that there does appear to be some kind of inscription around the base of the statue. When you read it with the successful riddle roll, it says the following. And it's in a Mannish tongue, something related to the common speech, but much older. Fortunately, with Emilder's ancient lore, as he is a scholar, you're able to decipher it. And it reads as follows. I was in there when I saw something, a thing of wood, wound a striving thing. The moving beam, it received battle wounds, deep injuries. Spears caused the hurts of this thing, and the wood was fast bound cunningly. One of its feet was stable, fixed. The other worked busily, played in the air. Sometimes, near the ground, a tree was nearby that stood there hung with bright leaves. I saw the leavings of the arrow work brought to my lord, where heroes sat over their drinks. There appears to be yet another riddle.
Thanks, man.
Listen, many years ago, I was taking Corey Olson's poetry class, like his Tolkien's poetry class. I don't know if Corey's still there or not.
Yep, he is.
Yeah, so I was taking Corey's Tolkien and poetry class, and I was like, I should just take a bunch of these things and some Anglo-Saxon riddles and mash them together and write an adventure. And it's now so I did that for my play group, and it's now my favorite adventure to run for a con. So this is just like when people, I'm using this adventure specifically because for all of you who are working on a degree program at Signum, inevitably someone is going to ask you, what's the question? What do they ask?
What are you gonna
Signum students?
What are you gonna do with that?
What are you gonna do with that? You're gonna drive your friends crazy is what you're gonna do with that. It's gonna be awesome.
That's right.
Oh my.
So, alright, so.
Putting that in our accreditation document.
I was there, worse.
I hear you.
So there's a solve in the middle, is that what's happening?
It
Yeah.
does seem that way.
No one else in the high riddle? I can just do it again.
I think,
Yeah.
I have a two, does anyone
it is
else on
past
high
my
riddle?
bedtime.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's just roll it out, let's.
Maybe he's doing another riddle roll.
Alright, I will just say, you're going to need to work, there's a certain number of successes you need to hit, which means you either, like, multiple, like, you guys need to try together to pool your efforts, or you need to get some great successes. Or you know, guess the riddle, that would be okay too.
I didn't think about that.
Alright, so there's a great success.
Yeah.
Here we go.
We're gonna need more than one of those. We need some rolling. Just people roll riddles.
So you've got 2 successes so far.
Sweet.
Farvald knew a thing.
I didn't either. So that's not bad, okay.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, that was all right.
successes.
Did everyone go? Did you go?
So Imeldir and Gibby.
No, it was all the brand. I just rolled the most recent one.
The riddle to you seems to suggest that it has something to do with weaving, perhaps?
Weaving.
But it's hard to say.
What is basket making 101?
Has anyone else tried a riddle roll that wants to?
I mean, I think we all just rolled.
Did you roll yet, Mike?
I did not.
I've seen
roll.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm missing 1 roll.
Yeah, here I go.
Oh wait, sorry, I missed that Farvold had also rolled. Okay, so with Farvold also great success, you guys get a total of 5 successes. So you're pretty sure that this riddle refers to a shuttle, like a loom, like the shuttle that goes between
yeah.
the threads
Okay.
on a loom. This would be easier if you guys spent more time weaving in your daily lives.
Albert,
So I hope
mean,
you go away from
yes, that would be
Mythmoot somewhat chastened.
that way.
Albert just goes, onion.
Well, especially with that roll.
Albert isn't the brains of the bunch.
So
All right.
I'm gonna go up. I'm going to say a shuttle, and then I'm going to try to walk in and see what
Okay,
happens.
so there's no reaction from the statue, but you walk past it without any issue.
That's what I was hoping for.
And you walk into the next room.
So
And as
I
your
look back at
companions
everyone's like,
follow
this is what you do.
You all hear the gentle strains. The rocks and curves is nice and cool, so juicy sweet. And a pair of glittering at you. You assume this is this glip creature of which the distraught mother sang. And his flickering eyes look at you, and he says, "She is coming. She will munch you. She will spin her webs of song to snare you." And he dives headfirst into the pool. You find yourself surrounded by an old pile of bones and detritus. Now and then, little bits of things glitter up out of the bones around you in the flicker of your torchlight. And at the far end of the room where Gollum, or Glip, has just dove in, there is, you can see what you assume must be actually the edge of the mere, the foul pond itself, where it comes up underneath the rock. And you think back to how Glip's tracks vanished at the edge of the water, and begin to realize you probably didn't use the cave entrance at all.
We started blindly.
All right, what are you guys gonna do? There is no sign here of the child. You can search, you can go for a swim. What would you like to do?
I'm going to go for a swim.
Sure, let's swim.
All right, Imeldir. You dive forward into the pool. You're surrounded immediately by total darkness. But as you swim forward, almost beyond the limits of what you think you can do, how far you think you can push yourself, you break the surface, gasping for air, in a small subterranean chamber. You haven't actually emerged on the outside at all, which is what you're more or less expecting. You emerge amid a small subterranean chamber, which all around you seems to be faintly growing with a green light. And at the opposite end of the chamber, separated from you by a large expanse of water, seated upon a heap of glittering treasure, with a small child cradled in her arms, you see a ghostly green figure with long, tendril-like red hair. And she's singing something otherworldly, something in a language which you only understand deep within yourself, which speaks of despair, of darkness, and of woe. The world above is a world of stone, of heartless trees and soulless grass. Its fires are dead, its
its mountains heaved like broken glass. And I need every single one of you to give me a corruption test. So you need to roll wisdom for me here. And this is going to be a TN 16. Everyone who fails gains a point of shadow. A point of temporary shadow, which you can add to your sheet at this time for all.
How many?
I'm sorry, we got 1 point. We're rolling, what's the,
It's wisdom. If you want to spend a point of hope, you can add your basic heart to the roll.
Well, okay. I don't swear, why am I missing wisdom?
It's up on the side underneath experience. It's not. It's
Oh,
not a skill.
Oh, okay, I see. It's, experience and elder wisdom. Okay, here we go.
Okay. Those of you who fail your roll, which at this point is everyone. Gosh, darn it, Mildew. I mean, really. Every single one of you who has failed your roll, find your weapon slipping from your hand as you resolve within yourself that you cannot bear to lift a weapon against such a beautiful creature. Only Alberic manages to keep his wits about him, and you see Emeldir the elf. His eyes flutter as he collapses to the ground, drawn deep into a sleep that is no sleep. As the Mere Maiden's song continues, what do you do?
Can I make an inspiring speech to snap us all out of it?
You can give me a roll of Inspire.
There we go. That is where?
That's
there it
a
is.
Skill.
Oh man, oh no. Target number.
You can also do song if you would prefer.
That is better. Yeah, probably something about coal mining.
Again with the coal mining?
You write what you know, right? Hey!
You manage to rouse most of your companions to action with a stirring song of comradeship, of coal dust, of mesothelioma or whatever that thing you get from inhaling too much asbestos is. Like you manage to rouse people up with the stirring songs of your people. All except for Emeldir, of course.
So, I
Who
hate to
seems
say
to
this.
be-
I hate to say this. But I rolled twice. The first time was
Yes.
for me, the second time was for him. For all the
Oh, I
brand.
see. So
Yeah.
who's the second roll for?
All the brand.
Aldebrand. All except for Aldebrand, of course.
Sorry about that.
We
Who has
lost
fallen-
a tablet that we were using, they were borrowing from somebody, so
Yeah.
there's gonna be some.
Aldebrand, as you begin to fight against the dark dreams which overwhelm you like a tide, I would like to give you a choice. Okay? You can choose to snap out of it, to take all of that pain and that sorrow and just push it down. Just push it down. In which case you can wake up, become fully conscious and alert, and gain 3 points of temporary shadow. Or you can continue to struggle against it. What do you choose?
Okay, what's temporary shadow? Like, how long is that?
Temporary shadow, so you have your hope and you have your shadow. As your hope and your shadow, as your hope goes down, your shadow goes up. If they ever become equal, or shadow becomes greater, you become miserable. And if you roll an eye of sorrow on why you're miserable, I get to do bad things to your character.
Okay, I'll do this.
Actually, I get to make your character do bad things to other people's characters, which is even better.
I'll do the I'll take the temporary shadow.
All right, all right.
I've got a good
I like
one.
it, I like it, I like it. Yeah, I've enabled a lot of people's gambling addictions with this hobby. So you kind of just sort of like take all of that pain and sorrow, the things from your past life, your
You should be different.
the lost loves, the foiled plans, the goals and hopes and ambitions which you never quite realized, all of the ways that you disappointed your parents. You just take all of that stuff which is welling up in you because of the Mere Maiden song, and you shove it down and you think, I'm gonna deal with that later. Maybe later will never come. And your head is clear enough now that you're able to sort of get back in the fight. Unfortunately, there's still a long gap between you and the Mere Maiden and the baby, and the Mere Maiden is continuing to sing. All right, so you all need to give me, for the next round as the Mere Maiden song continues, I need everyone to give me another corruption test. So it's going to be wisdom again.
Mew. Fairvold spends a hope so he doesn't become corrupted.
Okay, so who rolled the? No, okay, that was an older roll. Okay. All right, so everyone who fails, I'm not sure if Farvold can spend a hope on that. No, no, you got a 16, so you're rolling one off. All right, so everyone who failed, you gain another point of hope, and once again, you find that you have no ability to harm this beautiful creature. What are the rest of you doing? So Mildir, you managed to keep your wits about you, as does Farvold. What are the two of you doing?
I'm gonna. Can I attack this thing?
You can certainly try. Remember, it is holding a baby.
Yes. Let me think. Or
No commentary on like the freshness of the baby.
Yes.
right.
Oh, I don't want an old raggedy baby.
If we. So like, what can I do?
Can we swim towards it?
I think we're in the room with it now. I think we all went in, maybe. But the question is,
Can I go and snatch the baby?
actually, yeah, let's try that rather than shoot the baby. So I'm going to attempt to grab the baby, like.
All right, so you're gonna leap into the water and try to swim towards her.
Yeah, let's both do that.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so the two of you both leap into the water, continue to swim. The rest of you are beginning to be lulled into despair again by her song. As she sings a song of utter despair, of winter that comes and never leaves, of summers that bring only blight instead of a harvest.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Was that Mike?
Yes. I remembered my Greek mythology.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
we're all
Sorrow.
plugging our ears now.
Or at least, yeah, the two of us are.
Yeah.
I'm gonna plug my ears.
Yes. Deep sorrow without consolation, tears that bring only bitterness. And I need everyone, so you guys are swimming,
Mm-hmm.
and I need everyone else to give me another corruption test. So it'll be wisdom again for all of you.
Including us swimming?
Yes,
Okay.
but also an athletics test from you for swimming.
Oh, that's fun.
Unless you have the swimming ability,
I do.
because you don't need to roll.
I do, yes.
Okay.
That's fun. And then,
I'm gonna have to bail out after this round, guys.
yeah, I think it's.
It's all right. It's all right. We're right here at the end. So just hang with me for about 5 more minutes, Mike.
Okay.
Appreciate everyone being a good sport. I know it's like 1 o'clock y'all's time almost.
Can we plug our ears or can we sing ourselves so that we can't hear?
You can attempt to oppose her song with a song of your own. Yes, if you would like to.
I want to sing a song from growing up in the woods where I was, that I learned when I was a
Okay.
child.
Give me a song roll. Oh, Fireball, that's not great.
Song roll coming up, and I got, here we go.
All right, so everyone who failed their wisdom.
Oh, I'm gonna use a hope point. I'm living in the now, because that's gonna push me over.
Oh, that's an extraordinary success too. Dang. Okay.
All right, lose one more hope point, but I start singing.
Given that, with this, so that's 3 successes added to the successful song roll earlier when Freya inspired you all with the tales of the hardworking dwarven coal miners. As you begin to sing a ballad of the woodmen, singing of dark things fought beneath the eaves of the trees, evil defeated, victories won. You see the mere maiden shudder in horror and pain. She drops the child, where it lands and begins to sort of cry softly on a bed of what appears to be gold and silver baubles. And the mere maiden twists up in a horrible form before vanishing into an insubstantial green mist that sinks and fades slowly into the foul waters. Farvold and Ameldir, you manage to make it across the stinking waters, not before Farvold ingests more of them than anybody should be comfortable with. But you managed to make, like, you're gonna definitely have the runs for a few days. But
Stinking here.
you managed to make it across the stinking waters to find the child, the small little red-haired girl, probably 6 months, 8 months old perhaps, nestled
Fresh,
in
though?
this
It's
bed
fresh?
of gold and silver baubles. The lair of the Mirror Maiden contains 30 treasure, which you can split 6 ways for 5 treasure each. A treasure is the rough equivalent of 1 year's living for a peasant family.
Oh, wow.
There's also, it's also the sort of hoard that if we were playing a campaign and we had a little more time tonight, I would make you roll to see if you found like a magical weapon from the fall of Gondolin or something like that. But just for time's sake, I'll just kind of narrow this out because I know it's getting very late. Having defeated the Mirror Maiden in this battle of song, you rescue the child, you carry her out, have to sort of climb your way back out of the cave, and you make your way out of the cave, away from this foul, evil place, and back towards the settlement of Stonyford. And I just have one question, that is, who is carrying the baby?
Farvold, right?
Me, Farvold.
All right, Farvold. You're wearing the baby in what I can only assume is a baby Beorn.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. Come on, get it. I know it's late, but that was
I enjoyed it. Okay, so you're carrying the baby sort of like wrapped up and swaddled on your back. And if you could imagine for a moment a bird's eye view, or if you will, even sort of the camera as it pans over your group as you're doing what everyone does in Middle Earth, and that is walking across New Zealand. The camera, just imagine for a moment, the focus zooms in on the face of the child. And for the briefest of moments, there's a slight green glare in her eyes
We did it,
that
guys.
slowly fades.
We didn't notice. So
Sweet.
And that's where we will stop. Thank you guys very much for
Thank you, Richard.
sticking with such a late game.
Thank you.
And also working with the weird dynamic where you're listening to a disembodied voice run things. But I felt like there was good energy despite that. So thank you very much for being such good sports.
Yeah, thank you. And so I have a couple of questions. So you wrote like everything of that?
Yeah.
Whoa! That's
Well,
a
okay,
lot.
so all but one of the poems were either from the Exeter book, which is a collection of, well, it's a collection of a lot of things, but there's a large collection of Anglo-Saxon riddles in the Exeter book.
Okay.
And if you take Intro to Anglo-Saxon from Sydney University, you can learn how to read these riddles for yourself. There's a whole bunch of really saucy ones, which are really just
I
about
noticed.
totally innocuous things like onions and keys, obviously, Corey.
Yeah,
Keys.
clearly.
Keys.
Keith.
But also
Oh my
the poem about Glip and the old hag is a very loose adaptation of a poem that Tolkien actually wrote, and it was actually what inspired this whole adventure.
Okay.
So the only so there were a few of the poems that were mine, but for the most part that was from Tolkien or from the Exeter book. But yeah, I wrote the adventure myself. I originally ran this for my home group many years ago as part of a campaign, and since then it's basically just become one of my favorite adventures to run for cons and conferences and things like this, where people haven't played it before, because I think it's a good job of showcasing the system. You get, we do the little festival thing at the beginning, which is basically just a good excuse to get players together and teach people how the rules work and how the system works.
Yeah.
And then we get into kind of there's a mystery and a little bit of almost like a dungeon crawl kind of a thing, but it's not like a traditional D&D dungeon crawl. It's full of riddles and puzzles and mysteries, and basically the idea is that this mere maiden is a malign spirit that the Numenorians imprisoned here a long time ago, and so the actions of the players rescue the child, but also allow her to escape ultimately.
Right.
So anyway, that's kind of the idea, which is what happened in the campaign. They had to deal with it at a much later date. So yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. Like, and it's a good introduction too, because it gives a Gollum cameo, which is just great. Like, I was like, because I was tweeting to it early, because I was like, wait, so we have this, like when you were talking to Woodman, I was like, wait, so we're around the Gladden Fields, and this is a few years after The Hobbit happened.
Yeah.
So that's when Gollum's starting to come out, and that's great timing. It's like, this sounds like Gollum, especially when
Yeah, so
it's
this
got
is about the
Hobbit
time in the timeline when Gandalf, mentions to Frodo, he's like, at that point there were tales among the woodmen. And he says among the woodmen of like eggs stolen and children missing from their cradles, and which is like a really grim thing.
Yeah.
And it sort of implies some pretty awful cannibalism and stuff like this. So I basically kind of like took that in a Glip poem, and in a Glip poem, Glip is like, he's sort of like a subservient to or worships this, I think it's, Corey can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's originally like a mermaid.
Yeah, it's not super clear, but yeah, it's something like it's definitely a mermaid figure.
Yeah, and this is the thing that Gollum does, right? Like he finds like these really sinister patrons or patronesses and
Yeah, no, like it's almost just like I expect to see a bigger spider at first. I'm like, oh, do you find another big spider?
Right. So actually, in the full version of the adventure, there is a little bit of misdirect. I don't do this for the all-in-one. Like the full version of this adventure actually takes like 4 or 5 sessions to play through. This is a really truncated version, but there's actually a little bit of like a fake out because the dungeon is set up in such a way that you actually think that this big spider is the boss.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's cool. We beat the boss, everything's fine, and then the mirror maiden shows up and like starts dragging you into the water. And it was a very panic-inducing moment for my players originally because they were like,
yeah.
Wait, what do you mean we still have more things to like? What's going on? I thought we won. Like, didn't we win? This isn't what winning feels like. Yeah. So then there's a sequel to this adventure in which I know everyone needs to go to bed, but there's a sequel to this adventure which happens 15, 16 years later. And of course the campaign that I ran, it took us 7 years to play it out with my home group, playing one session every other week basically. Sometimes a little more often, but usually one session every other week. It took us 7 years to play out, but the campaign itself takes place over the course of 30 in-game years. So basically, the sequel to this adventure happened about 15 or 16 years after the original adventure, when this little girl that you rescued actually grows up to basically become a villain, because it's the return of the Mirror Maiden. And she's back at the Rock, and like she's turned it into her like fortress. And she has a family of feral hobbits that work for her. And
wow.
And so they're like wild hobbits of the Anduin Vales kind of a thing, like where Gollum originally came from. But one of the things that I really like to do to mess with my players a little bit when I'm running tour is everybody expects people in Middle Earth to have like British accents, like something from the British Isles. Because otherwise it feels wrong to them. So sometimes I lean into that, which I did a little bit of tonight, but a lot of times when I'm running tour, what I like to do is to like pick different American accents, just to like mess with people a little bit and like challenge their like stereotypes, but also like imply a little bit of like, so like if you have everybody from Gondor sounding like they're from Chicago. I mean, that's really wrong, but also like it does like communicate the sense that this is like a large urban center. So anyway, so I had these feral hobbits be hillbillies, and it's one of the most delightful things I've ever done. I mentioned Jeremy Morgan earlier. He recorded a podcast with me today, but he came into the campaign about halfway through. And his very first session was his character was captured by these feral hobbits, and they were literally buttering him up. Like they were slathering him in butter, preparing to cook him, and the rest of the party showed up to rescue him. And Jeremy has never forgotten that.
It's hard to forget being slathered in butter by feral hobbits.
Yes,
The words
yes.
feral hobbits are just delightful to me.
Yes. Yes. So anyway, yeah, feral hillbilly hobbits. I have their names and everything, and their little backstories, and of course they captured. They were like the two brothers, and they captured one of the players' elf, like her elf character, and so then they were like arguing over who gets to marry her, and yeah, it was fun. And I would say like that campaign had some really dark moments. I really like horror as a like a storytelling genre, I guess. So there were a lot of dark moments, but there were also just like a lot of really fun, goofy things. And over a 7-year campaign, you have like a wide range of things that you can bring in. So, anyway, the One Ring is a great game. You guys should definitely check it out if you haven't already. If you love role-playing games and you love Tolkien, it's the best one that anyone's ever done. By a wide margin, it's the best RPG take on Tolkien that anyone's ever done. So,
well, thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
All right, everyone. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
And enjoy the conference. I'm sorry I'm not able to be there in person this year, but hopefully next year.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good playing with